Welcome everybody to the Showdown in the Badlands theory casting stream. And yours missed something out. We're going to be bringing you all of the action from people testing their decks and trying out the new stuff today. Obviously, you can still watch your favorite streamers by going to their stream. We're going to be acting as a central hub, jumping around from match to match, having a look what all of the action is going to be, having a look at what those new archetypes are going to be. And kicking off the show with me is Edelweiss, of course. Edelweiss, what are you excited to see today?
Well, I'm excited to see, all these excavate decks. Excited to see some Renos play. That definitely seems like a powerful card we're going to be seeing quite a bit. And I'm excited to talk with the chat because we are, in fact, live. There's no delay. So if you all have suggestions of, particular streamers or pro players you want to watch us cast, spectate, whatever, just drop it in the chat and we will, take your suggestions into consideration.
Into consideration. Yeah, that's how we treat chat. We have a think about it. It's like, yeah, mom, maybe later. We want to do this now. But we are going to have a look at some games, some action. Raven driving the show for us in the background, having a look around what he can find. And he has found Ties and Vins for us. Let's have a look what Ties is bringing here.
Looks like Tyus is on Miracle Rogue with Excavate cards added. There's definitely a lot of tools for Miracle Rogue in this expansion. I'll be curious which ones end up settling in terms of the best fit. Obviously, a lot of the treasures are quite powerful that you can excavate. But I was looking at the coin package as well, and there might be something going on there with like Wishing Well and all the new cards that allow rogues to add coins to their hand.
Yeah, the Wishing Well was interesting. I know I looked at that with Sottle and Raven yesterday on my little stream. And we weren't convinced, or at least myself and Sottle weren't. Raven obviously loved it because Raven likes throwing coins into things and hoping for the best. But we weren't convinced you were going to be able to get enough coins. Do you think that's a thing that Ties is going to be able to make work?
There may not be enough for Wishing Well, and so people might sort of stop playing Wishing Well after the first, week or whatever. But I think just for Miracle Rogue to make use of, there are plenty of coins, particularly in the form of Greedy Partner, 2 mana, 2/3, Battle Cry. If you have a 2-cost card in your hand, get a coin. So just the ability to shadow step that for some really big plays, I think opens up a lot of possibilities.
And do we get to call Ties a tryhard for being the person who plays Rogue on the first day of a new set? Like that's always the tryhard thing, right?
I am a little bit surprised. I thought he would sort of go for something, a little more crazy. But, having a powerful deck to start off with, I can't really hold that against someone.
No, it's fair enough, of course. Have a very quick look at Vins. Obviously, it's a lot harder with the way it's laid out to cast the top player. We'll have a look. Playing with the Lawful Long Arm and that package, so more control Paladin attempting to make work. Paladin got a lot of control stuff this time around. Do we think that's a thing that's going to work?
Yeah, I think additions like Prismatic Beam really add a lot to a sort of control paladin archetype, and we saw what came down very early on that Tice had to deal with was that, I believe, 4/6 Taunt Divine Shield that gets cheaper for every card in your hand. Living...
I'll find it.
Yeah, we're going to be a little rough on card names today. These are all new to us as well, but it looks like Tice is assembling a number of coins that I suspect he's going to be wanting to hold on to for a Wishing Well in there. Wasn't sure if it would be there or not, but it seems pretty likely. And there is the new legendary for Paladins, Badlands Bandits. So you've got 8 dwarves with different effects, and any ones that can't fit in your hand are immediately summoned. So you see a board in the box there for Vins, and then if there's one still hanging out in the hand.
Yeah, my gut instinct on this card is it's not that great, but against Rogue it might be. The reason I didn't think it was that great is a bit bored in a box, as you say. But the decks it goes in are going to be slower ones because otherwise you're going to have a handful of... so you're not going to be able to summon enough. And casting them is not much fun. They're mediocre for the 2 mana cost. So you need to summon a lot, so you need to have hand size, so they go onto the board. And if you've not threatened them with other minions, they're going to get cleared quite easily. I don't know how weak that is or how powerful that is, but my gut was that. And Living Horizon is the name of the card you were trying to get a minute ago, the taunt.
There's the one. Yeah, and Living Horizon seems to be sort of the payoff for this, hand size matter in this paladin. And I think there's maybe a possibility with cards like Purator that some of these things might make it into a pure paladin, which would be a little more aggressive, like you're saying. Paladin has gotten over the last couple of years a lot better card draw tools than it used to have. It used to be the only thing they really had was Divine Favor.
We're on the edge of seeing the first Reno of the evening. It has taken a whole 7 minutes, but Vin's has got the opportunity to play Reno next turn, assuming there are no, of course, duplicates left in his deck. God, that'd be great, wouldn't it?
I guess that's the question: is has Vin's built something expecting to just draw enough, or just built a Highlander deck? I would expect this being theory crafting that it is just a Highlander deck. And the question here then is: do you just want to play the hero card, or wait until you get more value out of that battle cry?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also wait until maybe you've got some stuff to follow up with, make your light rate cheaper beforehand, so that on the turn where your opponent can only play 1 minion, you can just dump everything in there.
Yeah, absolutely. It is definitely a fantastic card for swinging the board, particularly with its ability where the opponent can only play a maximum of 1 card on the following turn. So that is really going to mess with, board-centric aggro decks that are looking to, flood the board with refill. They're only going to be able to play 1 thing. So if they don't have a big impactful 1 minion to refill with, it's going to allow the more controlling player to just sort of get ahead.
Ties with Drilly the Kid, new card, probably the best Excavate card, definitely up there if it's not the best. Rogue gets a 4-mana 4/3 that has 3 ways of excavating, and Mage gets a 2-mana card that freezes a minion. No. Good old Rogue. Really
Mage is
powerful.
Mage is doing okay in other departments.
It is.
They, I think, benefit considerably from some of the neutral cards, actually. A couple of the 1-drops go pretty nicely into a Sif Mage that's kind of even more focused on just combo killing. The Snake Oils are 0 mana, deal 0 damage, but can benefit from Sif's spell damage and help you to combo off. And then there is a 1 mana 2/1 that gives you a Toxic Sludge, which is a Fel spell. So that would help the mages, get to their high count of spell schools all the more quickly. But that's a pretty good looking signature. That's the Highlander card for Paladins.
Yeah, that's one that makes the Mirage that Vince has now. We're going to have fun working out exactly how this works. I'm sure it's been explained to us, but until you actually see it work, it's going to be interesting to see. So as I understand it, it's going to change into the card that is at the start of the turn, it turns into a copy of the card in the deck, and then you basically get what looks like another Mirage, right? This transforms, but you still have another Mirage.
Right, exactly. So once, you play it, and you basically keep the Mirage in your hand, and at the start of your next turn, it'll transform again. And we're going to be going through a lot of non-collectible cards this time around, because all of the Excavate classes, their Tier 4 treasure is a non-collectible legendary. They're all 4 mana 5/5 elemental beasts with a battle cry based on the class. In the case of Rogue, the Azurite Scorpion gives you 4 random spells, but then you need to actually excavate twice, which would give you a second Scorpion to make them cost 0.
Okay.
Could be powerful, but I feel like Rogues are going to struggle for hand size.
Yes. Gonna struggle. This is so close because Tice has done like so much damage here, but obviously Vin's on the Paladin, still has the Reno, still has plenty going on. And also the Rogue's under just lethal pressure as well here.
Yeah, and because of that pressure, Tice opted to kill the 5/2 instead of the 3/2 here, which has lifesteal. Although Deputization Aura, new aura card for Paladin, really nice in terms of if you have some trades to make, so you can just sort of let things slide around to have the next minion in order get that +3 attack and lifesteal. But deciding not to go there. I suppose you still get the once. No, it doesn't die because of the Amethyst buff. It's plenty of lifesteal though, even if you're not maximizing lifesteal. It's a pretty good swing there. +6/+6 to the board. And Amethyst makes it so your minions can't take more than 2 damage at a time. So this is going to be pretty challenging for a rogue to remove.
Obviously, it's the first game of a new set that have limited rules for building the deck, but the Paladin looks functional, at least for now. I wasn't sure
Absolutely.
how a control Paladin would shape up, especially with the Reno, but I mean, looking at the hand he has left over, still plenty of removal, still plenty of board control there, still a weapon in hand, as well as the fact he's likely just winning next turn. Like, it's looking pretty functional.
But this Astalor was able to clean up a pretty good amount of that board just based on the merit of it does 1 damage pings, which gets around Amethyst's protection. And so Tice may be stabilized, although still facing down 7 damage. And we, of course, can see there's another 3 in the hand from Prismatic, 2 potentially from the... Oh, sorry. Amethyst can't attack yet. So only 3 damage facing down.
Yeah, just looking to see if there's anything else here. Play the Reno, we want to see it. Plus it does 2 damage a turn.
Yeah, that's true. It does seem like just getting that aggressive hero power down may be the way to go. You can, use the first hero power immediately. For those unfamiliar, Reno Jackson is a new card that removes all, not just minions, but minions, locations, what have you, from the opposing side of the board if you have no duplicates. And then the following turn, they can only play 1 minion. It also gives you a new and improved hero power that is called Magic Bullet. And all of the options deal 2 damage and then have some kind of bonus effect, whether it's gain armor, or your next card costs 2 less, or give a minion in play +2/+2. It's going to be random, so you don't get to choose, but still upgrading to, Shadow Form Plus, basically, is a pretty solid upgrade on the hero power.
I think how this should work, given the way that Vince is playing it, is that if you beat somebody, half their viewers have to go and watch you. So if Vince beats Ties, like half of Ties' viewers have to go and watch Vince for the next game. I think that'd be fair.
A little more beneficial to some folks than others, but sure.
That's why I think it would be fair.
I suppose
Just to
it
remind you,
evens out in the end. Oh,
exactly, they will end up back at Ties anyway because he'll beat everybody. But just a reminder, you can go and watch these players play on their own streams as well. That might seem like we're putting down our own stream, but the whole point is to give the creators some way to show the new set off. So yeah, if you've got a favorite, if you're seeing a deck you like, you can go and watch them. Otherwise, we're just going to be flipping from game to game, having a look what's going on, just for those of you who've just joined.
and Tice has got, these copies of Breakdance, potentially redo all these effects. Did not, use the Shadow Step on Drilly the Kid earlier, so these spells are still not free, which just makes things, a little more awkward in terms of trying to get everything cast. Hand size is definitely an issue with the new stuff available to Rogue, but able to basically clear that up. A pretty steep life cost to do so, though, because the deputization aura does move around as you kill minions, and so having to kill that 1/1 ended up being killing a 4/1.
So unless I'm silly, Vince did have lethal here, but he's obviously trying out new stuff because he had the Reno, which would do 2, and the attack for 3. But
Yeah, also just might not have been thinking about the hero power. It is the battle cry that's more flashy, but it's pretty flashy as well. Discover a dragon, and a quick draw effect means it is active for 6 damage lifesteal. I'm a big fan of that new one. I don't know if anyone's going to be running it in decks, but it is pretty nice to discover.
yeah, you won't hear me say this often because Highlander, not the best mix, but hope we see a lot of Highlander today because then we'll get to see even more of the cards. So we get to see 10 of everything instead of 5 of everything, basically, out of the new set if they're playing Highlander. So that's interesting as we're going into Watch the world champion also on Rogue. Interesting. It's obviously people wanted to try out Excavate. I can imagine is the main reason for this.
Yes, Trilly the Kid is, as you mentioned, just hands down the best Excavate card. You do get basically 3 if you activate the Quick Draw, because it's Quick Draw, Battle Cry, and then the Death Rattle we just saw. And of course, Rogue has Shadow Step. So if you're ever able to Shadow Step Trilly and replay him in the same turn, that's another 2 activations. So just very efficient, I think, to the point that, if you're not super worried about getting tier 4 reward so much as Rogue, you could just run Drilly the Kid as an Excavate card for just a little bit of extra value.
16 minutes. Member of Coin Concede says the word Shadow Step. Well done. Who won the sweepstake?
It's a good card.
Okay. Warrior has this new thing going on with 1 million taunts that buff all their other taunts. Like there were so many taunt cards released that this is obviously going to be an archetype people are going to be trying tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing about these taunt cards is they're all different tribal tags. So in terms of just getting the sort of menagerie stuff going that we saw from Festival of Legends, you can have sort of this mixture of menagerie stuff and taunt buffs, just for kind of maximum buffing of minions in the hand, and then still get to run one Amalgam Band, which is the big menagerie payoff at the end, and Roaring Applause, which is an incredible draw card for menagerie decks in Warrior.
And that deck was okay, right? That deck was actually pretty powerful. So with a massive upgrade, it'd be interesting to see how that goes now.
Yeah, and then Bunny has kind of surprised me here with the Ogre cards thrown into this Rogue. Ogres have traditionally been pretty terrible, I feel kind of safe saying. But these new ones all have Rush, which is certainly a huge upside. And then the real payoff is the gang leader, who resummons all of your Ogre Gang cards that died over the course of the game. So kind of like the Watchtowers, and they are legendary that summoned a number of 5/5s equal to the legendaries or equal to the Watchtowers you had played over the course of the game. But this one resurrects them. It's kind of a neutral package that you could throw into whatever and is pretty good value. I'll be curious how much we see of this over time, but definitely on curve, powerful plays.
Yeah, I'm not convinced it's bad yet. Yeah, you see these sort of things, and the long-standing player in you thinks this is going to be just awful. Look at this rubbish, but the package together seems like it might be playable. We're gonna find out over time, like you say, as it goes to instantly the wrong place.
Well, is it the wrong place though?
Maybe not. Yeah,
Fuego's at 7.
good point.
Yep, potion belt here. There's the damage. And this is the thing. You just okay, 4 damage. We were trying to rush in, but turns out it's lethal.
There we go. So the ogre knew where to go. Of course it did. I do know we're going to get a bit annoyed with seeing randomly generated 4/4 ogres. That's going to be fun. It's one of those cards that if it comes out for free as a random 3 drop, wow, is it powerful? Like,
oh yeah.
Well, we have cards to generate random 3 drops now, so we'll see where
certainly
that goes.
an upgrade to the Hunter Secret. Summons a 3-drop if your opponent spent all their mana.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, staying with this by the looks, we've got a Wishing Well. So Bunny knows the score, right? He knows that we want to see what the new stuff does. He's just jammed the deck full of it. Lovely.
This might be a different Rogue deck than he was just doing. I would be a little surprised if he's managed to fit all the coin cards and the Ogre cards in here.
Jam them all in. That's what world champions do, isn't it? No, you're probably right. It does make sense that this is different.
Funny thing, Shadow of Demise, of course, has been used as a coin many a time before, but gets even more benefit now out of doing that if you do find a Wishing Well. This is a pretty decent dart throw target.
I'm looking at this curve on the other side. We have the unlucky Powderman, the 2/2 for 2 taunt that just buffs other taunt minions into Treasure Guard, which is going to get bigger. We've obviously got the Anima Extractor already done. These things are going to get really large. Oh, Backstage Bouncer, of course. I forgot that was actually a warrior card because it's only a shaman card, really.
Yep, it's it's a pretty beefy taunt, but then of course if you're able to buff it a bunch, you can turn something like, this Mermy into a copy of it for just massive board swing potential. And yeah, the Treasure Guard. It seems very much Tierra Fuego is going with this menagerie taunt package that's available with a little bit of hand stuff, between the Anima Extractor, and I wouldn't be surprised if this instrument tech is looking for the weapon that buffs damaged minions that is used in Rage Warrior so much.
Yeah, Treasure Guard with any sort of buff at all really quickly becomes a very powerful minion, doesn't it? 3/7 for 3 is suddenly a bit of a monster without any work really going into this already.
Oh yeah, there have been all kinds of builds in Rage Warrior that are sort of more low to the ground or trying to run Roaring Applause that just make use of Treasure Guard with Imbued Axe, because you very easily get it damaged, and then Imbued Axe starts buffing it up, making it pretty large. But this is a very welcome addition to any sort of buffing deck, particularly with that card we saw out of the Warrior buffs all your taunt minions in hand and deck. So this quick draw going to summon 3/4 chain gangs instead of 2/3s.
Yeah, the Pickaxe Crew just coming into hand on turn 4, pretty much the first match of the day as we've seen them played, and yeah, here
Oh
they
my
are.
god! I forgot the excavate treasures. That one of the one cost can give you 2 coins. So this is going to be just a massive swing turn from Bunny Hopper next turn with the Wishing Well, and each coin effectively lets you play a legendary minion. So
Oh, just play them all, Bunny. This is what we want to see. 5 legendaries on turn 5. Oh, what, did I just say that? 5 legendaries on turn 5.
could do 6. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
just enough
I
board
did see
space.
that
Wishing
one.
Well, and then
Oh, this is
unlikely Dart Throw will
silly.
hit enough here, but. Is it a discover each time? No, they're random legendaries at least. We wouldn't have enough
So
time to discover.
you
So
just
just gonna
wouldn't.
have to roll the dice here and hope for some good hits.
Double
Uh,
Huntsman, which means there isn't board space to play them all.
well, they're not infused. Okay, Blightfang is pretty good, assuming we can start killing off some of these things. And they will help for infusing those Huntsmen. So I suspect the Huntsman won't be played just yet. Yeah, Hodir is going to make some of these smaller things. 8/8s.
Someone in chat pointed out that Bunny could have kept 1 coin there for Tess on turn 6.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Oh, it was Donkey. They know what's going on. Yeah.
Picking up the Putricide. You almost could play the Putricide here just because we're going to start getting taunts off these things dying. And it would be an 8/8. Is it an 8/8 still? Yeah. Seems all right.
Seems like it's turn 5. Your go. And the thing is, it's being contested reasonably well. Could play the Extractor and then finish the turn with the Frog here. After a million trades.
Kind of the best thing you've got going for you.
It's actually not that great, is it? But it's something.
So killing off minions while the board is full so that, 1 fewer taunt gets summoned out of these. Still gonna give 4 potions over to Bunny.
Yeah, the Putricide was just the absolute ridiculousness at the end of the ridiculous there. This is so fun for Bunny and so not so much fun to lose to, but oh, look at it. Look at it. I doubted Wishing Well. I'm sorry, Wishing Well. I doubted you so much.
And those were not even like the most impactful. They were pretty good. The Hodir really tied it all together in terms of making these a pretty substantial amount of stats. But there are going to be some even better hits that you can roll off of those random legendaries.
This might be the only time it happens in the next 18 months, of course. This just might be Bunny being Bunny, but maybe it happens all the time. We're going to have to keep an eye on this as the night goes on to see if this is really this powerful. This feels like about as good as you can do with this deck, especially rolling the 2 coins from the Excavate as well.
I mean, it's nice we at least get to have the fun with Wishing Well now, because I just know that down the line what's actually going to happen is people are going to not run Wishing Well and run a different 5-mana card called Draka, and then just kill the opponent.
Yeah, I mean, that was, I think, Sottel's point on my stream. I'm sure others made the same point as well. If you can get 5 coins on turn 5, why not just play Draka?
Yeah, exactly.
But, okay.
As fun and impressive as all this is, it is not reliable.
Yes. And you can see that the legendary pool is incredibly wide. You can roll a very mediocre bunch of legendaries, even if you get 3 or 4 of them. Bunny just happened to roll a load with Synergy. Yeah, it was fine.
I mean, Halderon is a big miss, right? The only reason it's being relevant here was that it was a 1-mana card to get buffed to an 8/8 from Hodir. So.
Yeah.
That will wrap it up for this game. Pretty good showing of the potential impact of Wishing Well.
Yeah, I'm pleased we got to see that again. I don't think that's how it will always pan out, but that's for the best. But I'm glad we got to see it do its power thing. That is why the card exists, to do exactly that stuff. Really cool to see. And I imagine we've gone over to Kibler, because Kibler and Dragons, name a more iconic duo.
Oh, Kibler and Funky Monkey. So two, unique deck builders really getting to try out the theory crafting. I'm always a big fan of seeing two folks like this face up against each other. Kibler has to be playing Dragons. There was no way he could be playing anything else.
He's playing a lot of Dragons. One of the hard parts of the new Dragon synergy it's the same as pretty much any Dragon deck ever. The question is, how many Dragons do you play? Obviously, on opening day, you play them all to see what's good. But over the long term, we'll see some of these Dragons get thinned out of the deck and see what the optimum number of Dragons is, which are the more powerful ones. We see in hand at the moment the Dragon Golem, a card I'm very much not convinced about in the Dragon package, but summons a copy of itself for 7 mana. It basically makes 3/4s for each dragon in your hand. That involves playing a lot of Dragons, Edelweiss.
Well, it is a lot, and particularly if you are going Highlander, you can't have as much density because you just get one-ofs of everything. But there are, certain cards that add more dragons to your hand. There's Dragon Tails, which is Druid specific, and it's looking pretty impressive here on this board, summoning a full board of 3/4 taunts here to finally stave off some of this pressure from Funky. There's also a 2-mana neutral card that I believe end of your turn adds a 1/2 whelp with taunt to your hand that costs 1. And so that could be another way that you just sort of get dragons into your hand.
Well, there it is. It's a wall of 3/4s, but it is turn. What turn is it? It's Druid turn 8. What's that real term? It's turn 6.
Yep. Assuming Funky hasn't ramped at all, which is possible.
Which is actually possible, yeah. So it's probably like turn 2 or something, really.
I can't wait for someone to just focus just on this card and try and hand buff it. They can get just like a board full of 5/6s or something.
Yeah, I mean, you just said the word dragon and hand buff in the same sentence, and we're watching Kibler, so that might be tempting fate just a little bit. Something we could see happening for sure. Okay.
And someone points out in chat an interesting thing, which is that there are 5 dragons in hand, and it's summoned 6, which seems to suggest that it maybe counted itself. Not sure if that's intentional or what, but if so, that is very nice because it basically means that you're always getting 2, right? Which makes it a lot better if you're just kind of playing it by itself.
Yes, that's actually... Yeah, I have to completely reassess the card if you automatically get 2. Yeah. Okay. Reno.
Yeah, perhaps a more clear wording would have been summon a copy of this, repeat for each dragon in your hand, if that is how it's working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt we'll get to see, double check it later, but I think that does sound right, looking at the number of dragons we see.
Of course, recently balanced to twice as much mana, but still a pretty good card. It's funny, Kibler has just left this 1-2 in play for so long, so Funky has been continuing to draw cards off this 1-2, perhaps even to his detriment. It's the hand size is pretty full.
Yeah, and doesn't look to be completely different from what Kibler's doing, but he's just saving up for this Reno, right, to get maximum value out of it. He's just pushing his health total dangerously close, and obviously aware that it's Reno off, so good chances of Reno on both sides. I don't think we've seen the same card twice from Kibler. I'm not certain on that, as always, but playing the first Reno is kind of not what you want to do unless they haven't got theirs, and then what do you want to do? So let's see what he does.
Yeah, I think Funky's just gonna finally, kill off the 1-2 himself because he's drawing too many cards. And then refill with his own Dragon Golem. Not ready to Reno just yet. And then play Phi the Setting Sun, which is a pretty good way of getting that health total back up. One of the better looking legendaries in the set, I have to say, as well, in terms of the signature card. But it does make it a little hard to see the text. It is 9 mana, 4/12, Rush, Lifesteal, Taunt, costs 1 less for each dragon you've summoned this game. So, of course, playing the 7 cost 1 there does a lot to reduce that.
Be with you in just a second, Edelweiss. I'm just going to do something the chat's going to like.
Uh-oh. You're holding a dragon. Refresh 4 crystals. I don't remember seeing this one. We know what druids do with refresh. So Kibler going to use Alex Strauss as the Lifebinder to finish off Phi, just to get rid of some of that lifesteal effect.
All right, chat, pay attention as I just talk over Edelweiss for a second. Going to put a mega bundle code in chat, and
Oh no.
the last 4 digits are the wrong way around. They're backwards. So you have to type in the last 4 digits backwards just to prevent, bot people from botting it exactly. So yeah, it's going in chat now, and if you've understood the instructions, good luck to you, because here it is. We'll find other ways to do this as time goes on, but there you go.
I forgot that we just drop food into the piranhas. That's...
Yeah, it's it. The feeding phase. It's all gone quiet in chat as everyone's in there just desperately typing into their Battle.net accounts the code to try and get the mega bundle that code is worth. Yeah, chat. You don't just reverse it. You have to actually type the code in with those reversed into the Battle.net server. You'll work it out. You're probably too slow by now, but give it a go anyway.
Couldn't have done it better myself.
Yes, as Sottle says, also a confirmed human did get every single one last time.
It's true. Of course, you did have some fairly roundabout methods It was back then as well. So
Anyway, back to the game, because we did see, in the end, as I was talking through giving people things, it's too late, chat. You can stop now.
Kibler just under a little too much pressure, even though he had, ramped pretty significantly. Mikey was able to kind of focus on board during that time, and while the Dragon Golem was pretty nice, it was not quite enough to sort of stem the tide against Funky. So, and no Reno's played once again. I wonder with all these slower Highlander decks, how often we're actually gonna end up seeing Reno be played.
I was distracted otherwise. I was feeding chat. They still think they're being fed, but somebody's been fed already, and the rest are just fighting over nothing. It's great. But there'll be plenty more of those giveaways as the night goes on, so you will get more chances. Please be more specific. Cheers, Chris. Who are we going to watch now? Ravens found us somebody else to watch. I'll talk more about the game this time. We have Zeddy using the Reno Hero, and we have Rekvam using the Reno Hero.
It's probably going to be happening a lot, but it looks like Rekvam started on Hunter, whereas Zeddy started on Druid. And this looks like a YOLO prison moment, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, I YOLO prison when I'm not this far behind, let alone when I am. Because YOLO prison it knows what to do. It's incredibly powerful. It's really clever. It knows what to do. It's like Zephyrus, but even better at knowing what the right card is to get.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Don't disappoint me, prison.
Oh,
No, you're disappointing me, prison.
that's not gonna cut it, I don't think. Ooh, fun diamond card though. Flint. Flint lets you find quick draw cards, and as long as you can play them, you keep getting more.
I saw that going differently in my head.
Zeddy seems to have forgotten about the subtext of that battle cry, which is you cannot target the opponent's face, but figured it out, just make the trade, and then Barrel of Sludge is able to benefit from the spell damage, and Barrel doesn't target, it just does equal damage to the lowest health enemy minion. I hope we do get to see some Barrel of Sludge decks at some point today. Warlock got really interesting group of cards there with all the sludge, and yeah. I think you could have some pretty big combo finishes, particularly with Steam Cleaner and Talented Arcanist, because the sludges, whenever they are destroyed, discarded, or played, deal 3 damage to the lowest health enemy. So
are you a fan of the Steam Cleaner, or do you think you just sort of play the deck, you use fracking to get them from the bottom, just play some good cards?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's 2 ways you can go about it. One is just sort of just kind of play for tempo, get a bunch of sludges, and eventually they'll go off, and that's fine. But the other way is to, I don't think you sacrifice much by just adding Steam Cleaner.
Right.
So that if you've been building up all of these sludges and your waste removers are gone or whatever, then you just play a Steam Cleaner, and it is just like a machine gun of sludges.
Yeah, it's not the worst tech card at the moment. Anyway, it's not amazing or anything, but there's plenty of stuff getting added all over the place. So, and it's a decent enough body that you're not wasting. Yeah, I can buy into that for the sake of 1 card. But I think a lot of the time you will just put sludges on the bottom, fracking, and get your best card, get rid of the 2 sludges, and repeat. It's going to be interesting to see how powerful it is. I think there's some very early massive damage turns can come out for sure, even without Steam Cleaner, like you say. If you've got a slot for it, just stick that in there for a combo finish.
When Sludge on Wheels, 3 mana 1/5 rush, whenever it takes damage, get a Barrel of Sludge and add 1 to the bottom of your deck. I imagine there's going to be some interesting turn 5 plays with that, and Defile for just like getting a ton of sludges shuffled in. But going over to the current game rather than our sort of fantasies here, looks like Rekvem is on some kind of warlock. It looks like Excavate Warlock, centered around getting that tier 4 treasure and then bouncing it. You see the Zola and the 2 Brewmasters.
Pretty funny. What's your gut instinct on Excavate outside of Rogue? I actually really like the stuff for Frost as well, but is Excavate going to be, hey, we're going for the tier 4s, or is it just going to be, hey, this is a good card with a nice little add-on?
Yeah, so I think that the certainly the best reward is in Warlock. Whether or not we want to do the double Brewmaster situation that Rekvam's got going on here or not remains to be seen, but I suspect some of them you'll be a little happier about the stuff you get along the way than the actual tier 4 treasure. I actually think Rogue, for instance, is going to be struggling so much with hand size that it'll be tough to really get that tier 4 treasure, certainly to a place where you can make the spells cost 0. And even then, how good are random spells?
Yeah. Oh, well. Ask that to many cards like Prison of Yogg. But yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
But the Warlock treasure, I mean, if you play it 3 times, they're dead.
Yeah, good point.
Like, no armor factors in or anything. I suppose you have to go a little further if they've got Renethal. But the fact that it reduces max life total just means that majority of the time, if you play it 3 times, there's nothing they can do. They're just dead. And since you gain the life yourself as well, it's even kind of keeping you topped off in the meantime.
Yeah, it only costs 4, right? So you can quite easily do it if you get it, and you've got these 2 mana bouncers. Yeah, that's basically going to be old school Leroy.
Although, lots of Brewmasters in the hand and no Excavate effects. One thing that I think they cleverly designed about the Warlock Excavate cards is none of them are battle cries. So, barring the neutral 2 mana 1/1 that excavates, you're not going to be able to get use out of your Brewmasters by going, full bounce.
Yeah, we may have too much bounce in here, Rekvam, is my instinct looking at this. It may just be you've drawn it all, but there's a lot of bounce here. Obviously, you want to be able to do the thing, but there's a lot of bounce. So much. Meanwhile, we see this Paladin build again. Just
Mirage
so much now to play.
Doing a lot of work.
Yes, all of them.
Not benefiting from the lifesteal off this long arm, but it is a pretty substantial amount of attack that needs to be removed. But of course, Tram Conductor Yeri, I don't know if anyone remembers Sociologist Militia, but this is basically that, except a little easier to make happen.
Yeah. And hopefully it's got an amazing animation. I don't know, but you'd imagine it has, because he's just going to drive a tram of 6 cars into people.
Ooh, I like this though. Just foregoing that for this turn and take advantage of the lifesteal. You can make this swing and then use the rock. Could also have defiled there, but I guess saving it for something a little more juicy.
I mean, he could bounce the tram conductor like 57 times over different turns.
Oh, that's true.
As well,
Yeah, that is
every
something I
turn.
hadn't considered. So there's at least another good use out of it, right? Wait until turn 9, and then just have trains for days.
Yeah.
Oh wow, just having to roll out the 7 mana 8/8 there. So not a lot going on in Talso's hand.
Oh, does everything in Rekvam's deck have Battle Cry? Is that the point here? So there isn't too much bounce. It's got the combo bounce thing you're describing for the end, but also the rest of the deck all has Battle Cry. So early on, you can bounce your armor vendor and so on. Your tour guide. Yeah, that's what he's doing. God bless you, Rekvam.
We're just destroying through the bottom of the deck. Are we picking up Kobold Miner? Yep, we sure are.
Everything has Battle Cry written on it. It's so silly.
So this is the one that you can bounce, but all those bounces are going to be saved for the Azurite Snake, because guess what? Doesn't matter if the opponent has an 8/8 if you're just gaining 10 each turn.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, this has made me very happy. I was sort of thinking it was a little bit of a sad combo, but the way it's constructed is beautiful, isn't it? Yep, gain 10. Gain some more
Sola,
10s.
bounce. Oh, not even bounce, just excavate again. Suppose we'll
Question
see.
we're going to be asking all night is this a deck? And with all the
So,
little tweaks with the armor vendor and stuff, it could be
yeah,
fine.
I mean, you just bounce it, right? Because then next turn, since you Zola'd, right, you just play 2 of them. I mean, I suppose you could have done this with 1 as well, but yeah, you play 2 of them, and that's just lethal. There's nothing that Talso can do about it short of having his own lethal this turn. Because that armor doesn't do anything. The additional armor from Reno doesn't do anything. This is just 20 armor-piercing damage, and I'm not sure Talso recognizes that yet. Oh, okay. So we're getting rid of the insider info here. Yeah, there's only 1 board space, so yeah, only 1 card can come down. I guess. How does that work with Jerry? Can it not summon?
Guess we'll
It's
find out.
not really something I would want to test out. I think you just snake, but
The inside info was Raven, by the way. Edelweiss, very experienced caster, knows not to credit Raven with anything at all. But yeah, it was Raven who spotted it.
just the whisper in the ear. But even so, that gaining 10 gonna keep Rekfam topped off here. So I don't think there's any miracle plays left here for Talso to keep from that happening, unless there's something that prevents battle cries.
Chat asking, what is this card? This is the tier 4 excavation for Warlock.
I think pretty universally decided is the most powerful excavate reward because it is just a win condition in and of itself in a way that the other ones are not guaranteed to be that way. So
Yeah, I'm a fan.
yeah,
Stopping people from healing is just the best thing I've ever seen in anything ever. I'm very pleased with this.
steal 10. Armor doesn't matter.
Can we just stay here all night? Can we just watch this for the rest of the night and ignore the rest of the theory crafting? This was amazing. Well done, Rekvam. I wasn't sure about the bounce at the start, but now I understand the deck. That is beautiful. I'm so happy.
I definitely was a little worried. It was too much having both brewmasters, but turns out it's not that bad. And I hadn't thought about the tram conductor Jerry being bounced. That is a potential very powerful late game play, but
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like it's got some sort of curve going on, right? You can bounce your excavations, you can bounce your armor. You're doing something all the time. Your bounce isn't going to be wasted, and you're moving towards just that amazing combo at the end. Whilst, I mean, Brewmasters have always been kind of fun, right? Shadow Step's fun. Did I just say that to you? But yeah, those sort of cards are good fun. And yeah, these are just expensive Shadow Steps that are doing something really important. Meanwhile, with Engine, a card I really want to see how it performs as this more and poor. I think you have to just ignore it if it's played against you. But
can you though? They gain
right.
5 health every turn.
So I'm really curious how good this is. Or you just kill it and let them gain 8 for 4 mana and move on. Maybe you do that. Like,
I mean, against something aggressive, only 1 power, so I feel like you got to do something to it. I am running it in a hand buff deck, so you can make it a little more dangerous, right? Even a +2/+2 makes it a 3/10, so aggro's not really going to want to bump into that, and in that case, they might just try and race the extra 5 health every turn. But, adding to your max health, pretty nice. Could be very important against warlocks, as it turns out, since that's the only way you can add to the number of times they have to play Azurite Snake against you.
yeah. I like the idea of buffing it. The fact it's a 1/8 sort of I guess 4 mana heal for 8 would not be a card you would put in your deck unless it had other effects. Like the 2 mana heal for 8, put stuff in a bottle and copy the bottle for priest is probably playable just about. But yeah, 4
But
mana
we're
heal,
just
I guess, is not.
we're
If
just
you're
killing the
buffing it,
opponent with that card.
right? If you're
We're just
buffing
making
it
it
to
deal
a
damage.
3/10, sorry.
that potion, we're just making it deal 7 damage and then killing the opponent with it, right?
Sure, yes, we are.
Maw of the
I like the idea of buffing it. I like that a lot because then it suddenly has to become
Ooh,
something that clears the board.
that is very nice. So getting the +3 spell damage on Howling Blast from the Titan there is one of the best hits, maybe the best hit you can get for Discover a Frost Rune card.
Hmm.
There you go. Get the extra corpses. Although actually, this is kind of funny. Because Maw and Paw was played later on, so it's generated the 5 corpses. But at the end of turn next turn, it is sequenced after these 2/4s. So the life isn't going to get gained. Instead, there's just going to be 2/4s summoned.
Oh, because it'll be down to 4. It was worded a very weird way for several reasons. First of all, if you kill it, you keep the 5 corpses. But this is one of the other reasons. That's going to be
Oh,
kind of
no,
fun.
no, because it's start of turn. It's start of turn. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, cool. But
Yeah,
there will be
yeah,
situations where
one of
that
those weird
happens, for sure.
things. Right. Yeah, there will be times where you get the corpses, it gets killed, and then you just get to use them for something else. Which, honestly, the number of ways to use corpses is significantly higher now. So it might be worth including in a lot of decks just for, gaining the 5 corpses, and then sometimes you get to use them, sometimes you don't. But particularly when Climactic Necrotic Explosion has struggled to have ways of bending corpses, I think all the additional corpse benders you can get is pretty nice for Rainbow DK. I
Right.
wondered if the Soul Cage was going to be picked up there to try and copy the Maw and Paw.
Oh, then it becomes disgusting.
10 corpses a turn, spend 10 the following turn.
Yeah, gain 10. Where's your silly little warlock card now, huh? That's definitely the highlight for me so far. Like, and that's not a tuned deck. But don't forget there are deck construction rules for this. Although I think you will play pretty much what Rek'Van's playing anyway, because you need to play enough of the new cards to get the excavates.
Oof. And it looks like there is a Helia in here. Whether or not there's other Plague cards, not sure. But just running Helia by herself can be a pretty powerful play for something like a Rainbow DK. Just maybe it's never relevant, but sometimes you mana tax your opponent.
Yep.
There we go.
Oh.
Finally, we get to see that card played. It took 2 expansions, but
2 expansions. Yeah, there was a lot of support, as you've just described, for it this time around, if you want to play that card. And Engine, I'm not surprised being one of the people who was the one who played it, to be honest. Obviously, very much a wild player at heart, so we're going to see Engine probably playing some more of the out there stuff. Overall, I would imagine if you want to jump into Engine stream, have a chat with him. I'm sure he'd be very welcoming to you, and I'm sure he'll be messing around with a lot of wacky stuff all night. I just get that vibe from how he plays the game.
yeah, and Raffle, of course, also a wild streamer. I wonder if they were doing a friendly challenge instead of just sort of randomly running into each other.
That makes sense as well. Yeah, maybe they're playing best of 73 or something. Just right. Who have we got now? Heart Queen, awesome.
And
And
Ali.
Ali.
People really love this dragon druid idea. Unsurprised to see Ali on it, but I think it's going to be fairly popular.
I think so too. I think you've got a good choice of. So when I was theory crafting streaming myself, the challenge is to play something that's actually vaguely. You want to win some games of Hearthstone, but also you want to try and tune up a deck a little bit through the night. So start off with all the dragons and slowly thin them out would be a thing that'd be quite interesting to me. Which dragons are
Sure.
important, which ones are not. Let's have a look at what that is tonight.
Allie looks to have already done her ramping, so I think we might be seeing a nourish for cards here. Oh, nope. Just gonna go ahead and do that and then dredge. Oh, well, if you can dredge up Ray Estraza, then sure, yeah, go for the ramp. No problem.
Yep, seems to be one of the more powerful cards. Let's get the exact wording because I don't want to mess it up. Unless you happen to know it because you're kind of good on this sort of stuff.
Ray Estraza?
Yeah.
That's the best I got.
If your deck has no duplicates, summon the Putrefied Dragon Nest.
And I think it
Oh my goodness,
purified.
My eyesight definitely needs.
They're the
something
good
to
guys. Yeah, Purified Dragon Nest is going to summon a dragon at the end of every turn.
Discover a dragon. It costs 4
Discover. Okay, sorry. So you get that's in some ways better because many dragons do have relevant battle cries. So you get a nice cheap dragon to play every turn, kind of best for the situation. There's also a number of large dragons, so it costing 4 less can be quite nice. Could even do some interesting plays with the 4-mana dragon that refreshes mana crystals if you have a dragon in hand.
Signaling intention to leave. I think I can say a bit longer, Raven. Raven was a big fan of wanting to see dragons with 4 reduced costs, I think, at the start of the day. This is why. Alistralis is going to play Alistralis. You've got to. It's kind of the law, right?
I mean, I think so, yeah.
How's this a decision?
Sarah's the most value, though.
I know. It's just the better card. Like, she's taking the better card, but I want the memes.
You get to play 2 dragons. Oh, hey, ANR. I'm not sure why on these super accounts it's not the diamond ANR, but okay. I mean, yeah, you can just refresh the mana crystals. There's almost not enough board space for this, but refresh the mana crystals, then play a Sarah, then play the 4-mana 7/6 dragon.
That is something that Hearthstone has gained in difficulty in recent times. Board space with Titans, with locations, and now
with Colossals.
Various things, and with Colossals. Like, yeah, you do have to manage board space as well as sometimes positioning, and often all the other things, hand size, tempo, etc. You can mess up and just leave your board too big if you're not careful in much of Hearthstone.
And it is really paying off here, Alistraza going for that ramp instead of draw, as she's just been miles ahead of Heart Queen in the sort of play big stuff game. Heart Queen also has ANR, but not quite as much ramp to go along with it, so gonna be struggling to find a way of dealing with this board, and no Forge cards to speak of yet, so Ignis is not gonna be sort of a get-out-of-jail-free card here. I think when it comes to these mirrors, this is kind of what it's going to be, right? Whoever is able to make the big plays first is going to be the one to get there unless a Reno can turn things around.
Yeah, this just looks ridiculous. Like, get Riastraza, it's just going to be Heart Queen hanging on for some time. And eventually, unless she finds a big turnaround, losing the game because card advantage is going to get her. But she'll have plenty of ways to hang on. Like you say, Reno can turn it around because of the wacky way in which you basically get 2 turns to refill the board.
And because it removes that location. Or that...
yeah.
I'm not sure what we call those. Portal?
It
removes
portal,
the nest.
It?
We may just have to refer to them as proper nouns because there's no good name for what those are exactly.
I can't remember proper nouns, so I'm going to have to make up some improper ones that are probably not fit for broadcast, to be fair.
Nest, portal.
Yeah, just portal.
What are the other ones? I guess those might be the only 2 right now, is Sargeras Portal and then this nest.
There's dormant cards as well, of course, but yeah.
Right, yeah. That is not a Reno. And I think that's gonna do it. I mean,
You make
you can
infinite
buy a
3/5.
little more time with the taunts.
The taunt card called. Just checking what it's actually called. Dragon Golem.
Dragon Golem, yeah.
This desecration of the Titan's land stops here.
But okay, wait. That time it only summoned 2. And there were 2 dragons in hand. So maybe we were just missing something on the last time it was played. Where it seemed like it countered itself.
We'll keep an eye on that through the night.
Yeah.
This unfolding story on Play Hearthstone. Maybe we just miscounted. Maybe I miscounted, because that's usually my job.
Well, it definitely was a full board when Kibler played it. It just might have had the wrong count in hand. And here we see the Asera Awakens gonna clear the way for that lethal for Ali. Asera Awakens no longer does face, but it's good enough.
Yeah, infinite dragons versus infinite dragons. One of them still won. But yeah, Druid looking very dragony. It doesn't feel incredibly powerful, does it? It feels good, but we saw that with the Taunt Warrior as well. We're definitely going to have a lot more big board battles in some matchups, but sometimes that's going to be circumvented by taking 30 from a Warlock. So already getting that, the stuff we need in card games, the rock, paper, scissors type setup to some degree at least. As Pocket Train just wins the game already. He's just that good. Well done, Pocket Train. Congratulations. Was he playing Frost? I'm hoping he's playing Frost.
That was a CNE that won the game. So that was Rainbow.
He's not, yeah. I felt that Frost got a lot of good stuff in this set.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a way to play triple Frost where, maybe you don't run Overseer anymore because there is an Excavate card that's a Frost rune, but not a Frost spell. Just the thought of playing the new 7 mana 7/7 that makes your next card cost 7 less if you've Excavated twice, like playing that into Frostworm's Fury just seems gross.
Okay,
But I am going to
so
tap out and swap over to Raven here. So I will see you all later on.
see you in a bit. Thanks for hanging out. I think I'm actually with Sottle, not Raven. I'm going to find out when the voice happens because everyone can tell their
Correct,
voice.
yeah. It's me. Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Pile of bones.
Real quick, hello first off. Hello, chat. Welcome. I've been hanging out with you most of the time. Now you just have to listen to my voice instead, but I am still reading. So if you have questions, suggestions, people you want to watch, I am still reading chat, so go for it. Secondly, just to clear up the Dragon Druid thing, there was one more dragon in hand than you thought there was because it was traded away immediately afterwards when the dragons in hand were then counted. So it does work as expected. It is a minion itself, and then for each dragon, +1 copy.
That's what happens when we listen to chat.
Mm-hmm.
Pile of Bones, Sottle. This is a card I was interested in. It's only a 2/1. It's probably not going to come back many times, but Pocket Train wielding it here. I'm fascinated to see how it does.
How can you tell which are real codes? Real codes in chat will be posted by someone with a VIP icon. You can pretty safely ignore all of the other ones.
And there will usually be instructions which you can choose to follow and put into the Battle.net account and have a chance of winning the code, or you can spam them in chat and win nothing. It's entirely up to you, really. Oh no, don't start Sottle off.
Oh, that's
no,
the
not this
thing!
early.
Oh, I'm literally Jambray! Who knew?
Oh my goodness.
I'm actually just Jambray. Did I or did I not talk about this exact combination of 3 cards yesterday during the card review? Come on.
Relentlessly for like 5 hours or something.
I am
it's all
literally
you talk
Jambray.
about.
Yeah.
You're not Jambray. I mean, you are actually Jambray. Yep, go on, Sottle. Explain how this works and why it's good.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's as soon as the card, the 3/3 rushes on each side, there you go, Showdown. Like, I just saw 2 mana add 6 minions to the board and was like, oh, let's look for any Sea Giant cards that are in the game. And then I searched the collection and discovered that literally Sea Giant was in the game. So, I don't know, this seemed like a thing you wanted to do.
That did amuse me. Hey, what if there's a Sea Giant type card?
Yeah.
Wow.
That turns out there was. It was called Sea Giant.
Yeah, Sea Giant, Play Giant on turn 4.
So the 3/3s. So it's a 2-mana spell that summons 3/3s on both sides of the board, and yours have rush. So as a default, you can just summon them 3/3s and you 3/3s, and then you can rush your 3/3s into theirs. But obviously, the paladin has lots of ways to abuse that. Like with if you have an aura equipped, then your 3/3s with rush just automatically get bigger than your opponents. If you have sea giant in your deck, then your sea giants just get incredibly cheap incredibly quickly. So yeah, you get an awful lot of payoff for that card. I got very very excited when I saw this card.
Prismatic Beam, you see there, the top right on Jumbo's hand as well. Deal 3 damage to all enemies, cost 1 less for each enemy minion. That's another way of cheating around that card later in the game, probably. But you play it, you give them the 3/3s, you blow up theirs, you keep yours. Yeah, there's lots of good things you can do with this, and something that, to be fair, Sottle and Raven both identified incredibly quickly yesterday. Jumbo's proving it. Jumbo always proves it.
Kablam! Take 11, dummy.
You can't call Pocket Train dummy. He's a Masters Tour champion and World Championship competitor.
Pipe down. I can call him what you want. What I want.
Excellent. Wouldn't mind seeing Jumbo again if Raven would be so kind. But if Raven's got something better in mind, he's going with Jumbo. I think he'd already.
Yeah, we're all very excited by Jambra here.
So, I want to see if that happens every time. I mean, it's Jumbo, so it will. But I want to see if it happens every time when I try it.
Yeah, the rest of the equation is like, can you find cards that tutor? And obviously, Sea Giant is a card that naturally starts expensive. So yes, thank you, Jambra. Order in the Court can be a very helpful tool because nice. You can stack the Sea Giant on top and draw it out soon. Interesting background. Yeah, sorry. I'm mid-moving house, so there is basically no area of my house that isn't covered in random garbage and packing boxes right now. So apologies for the background.
Mine's far more exciting, except you don't get to see it because it's full of branded products that I'd get fired for showing. So. Oh, this is just a normal deck. What are you doing, Jumbo? This isn't a normal Hearthstone card, though, is it? Hi-ho, Silverwing.
Shielded Minibot draw a card seems like a thing I'm very interested in.
Yes. Oh my goodness. If this deck can win the other way as well, I'm going to be terrified of it.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
win
this
by
is
doing
it.
complete combat and just kill them normally.
Right, like you see a lot of variations of this same Paladin deck currently, right? Where you play all of these very efficient Divine Shield early game minions and some buffs and Order in the Court, and then you just kind of change what Order in the Court draws you when you play it, right? And to affect what the win condition is. So I just see this deck as another kind of variation, another offshoot of that kind of early aggro Paladin payoff.
And now I'm interested because Jumbo is playing Badlands Bandits in a very aggressive deck, which means that the 8 bandits will largely go into your hand and not summon many. He's assessed for whatever reason this is good. So I want to know how this works in a deck that's just spamming stuff onto the board and ends up with a load of bandits in hand. I want to see how he's making it function.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any other tools in here that can fill up hand first. Not sure if any such thing is available to Paladin. Nothing really comes to mind that I've seen from the new set that you'd want to put in here that could do that.
He may also have just decided that getting 3/3/2s with effects and a bunch of stuff in your hand is just good enough.
Yeah. I'm not sure I agree with that, but it's a thing a human might think.
Good enough, often enough. Let's go with that.
Oh, Sea Giant's just such a satisfying card. Honestly, I'm such a huge fan of Sea Giant. Sea Giant, Play Giant.
I have no idea why I've said that for years. It doesn't even make sense, but I stand by it. I'll double down just for a change.
How do you actually use codes when it drops? If you go to your Battle.net and click in the top right where your account options are, you'll see an option there called Redeem Code, and you can just put it straight in there. You can also go through the website and find a similar way of doing it there, but I think that's probably the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, and I'll give a strategy advice. You probably want to have that open if we announce there's going to be some codes, because it's going to go fairly quickly. Ah, yeah, put the old Sea Giant back in the hand. The Death Knight that looked pretty quick on paper looks really slow, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't think this Badlands Bandits is getting played anytime soon. Just
Yeah,
gonna
this was
put
my
that
issue
out
with
there.
it in the card preview, right? It's in an aggressive deck, you never make the things. But again, if you're playing against a control warrior and you suddenly get 8 2/2s in your hand with effects, maybe it's a bit better. I don't know.
Yeah, I still think it'd end up being too slow. Just pay 6 mana to fill up your hand. I think more so you'll see this card in. We saw it very early on, right? It might have been first game of the day that you and Idlevice did, where it was a slower
Fins.
paladin with the Mirage, and the Mirage was kind of shoving cards in hand all the time, and then bam, Badlands, and like 6 of them get summoned immediately. That's a much better card if you can get it to do that.
Yeah, that was Fins. Just calling out people's names if we're going to watch those people. Trying to get rid of all the people from this channel and put them into the appropriate places where they're happy. I never was very good at marketing. But yeah, seriously,
Hey, I
everybody
mean,
here
the event is site wide, like numbers here and numbers in an actual streamer's chat watching. Like, the goal is just to have people watching Hearthstone and seeing the new expansion, seeing how the new cards work, and having fun. We don't care where they are.
We say that. But yeah, exactly true. Well, Pocket is putting up a bit of a fight here. He's getting to the top end of his curve of expensive stuff. But he's dead.
And dead because Prismatic Beam goes face. So yeah, 2-2 for Jambray. That was slightly less impactful than the first game we watched, right? We saw the Sea Giants came down, but not with the combo with Showdown specifically for those super early blowouts. But yeah, nice to see the Paladin putting in a little bit of work.
Yeah,
Worth mentioning as well with the the Bandits card, right? That there are deck building restrictions, and Jambray is playing a deck that largely is quite similar to what current aggro paladins look like. So he might just have had to have shoved another new paladin card in there to make the 10 new card limit.
Plus he's Jambray, but there might be something in the deck that fills his hand up or something ridiculous. Who knows? It's Jambray.
Yeah, it's possible.
Regis, just looking at what Regis is on. Regis is playing Toxic Waste. Oh, I'm watching the wrong game. I was still watching Jambray playing Regis. Raman versus Judge. I was just watching Jambray because I'm a cheat.
We are back on the Rogue. We've seen a few of these so far. Ogre's in the Rogue for Raren though, which is kind of sweet. I think we saw that from one of the games earlier as well. The Ogres are certainly interesting. I think really hard cards to evaluate, not only because of the randomness, but because they're recursive potentially with Pud, who can bring all your Ogre gang back at the end of the game. So potential for lots of board in a box style effects. But I think, as Idlevice mentioned, Ogres historically pretty terrible in terms of the 50-50 type Ogres. We have, of course, seen things like Ogremancer, for example, which was kind of just a staple card in the meta for the time.
They're going to need to be good here, I think. Look at this board on the Rogue side, doing normal thing.
Adding a bunch of coins to your hand doesn't really seem to be the response to this board state, does it?
No. No, it does not. Unless you're Bunny Hopper and you make... Did you see that? I assume you've seen nearly every game. Like
I did see it, yes. And I was typing in chat, like, okay, in this particular instance, it doesn't work. But, like, it just happened it was against, like, the Keleseth Taunt deck on the other side, right? So it was the one situation where it wouldn't have been better to have just played Draka instead, because there was, like, 6 Taunts on the other side of the board. But, yes, I hate to poop in everyone's cereal, but I think if you're doing that most of the time, you're probably better off playing Draka. But Wishing Well is admittedly a lot more fun, if that's the sort of thing that you might be interested in.
You don't hate pooping in people's cereal. I'm sure you love it.
I do enjoy it. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I hate to make everybody sad, says Sottle, who has made a brand out of making everybody sad for the last 10 years.
I get the Jambray Paladin deck code, please. You'll have to go ask Jambray. We don't have access to these things.
But he will be streaming, almost certainly. So
Yep, yeah. Jambray is streaming. He started a little bit later than some other people, but it came on about 20 minutes, 30 minutes ago, I think.
Oh, Concoction nearly hit the 2 biggest, but not quite.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I kind of checked out of this game and started reading chat.
I mean, yeah. I've had a bit of a look. Because we don't get to do this in Masters Tours, where we have to, a little bit of a delay for obviously competitive reasons.
Mm-hmm.
We can see you, chat.
We can. Yeah, you have to behave yourselves.
Will they?
Nah, probably not.
Do you want to keep them quiet with something?
I think that's your responsibility, isn't it?
Oh, am I the feeder today?
Yeah.
All right, chat. Are you going to behave yourselves? Okay. You're going to make me word this really precisely. Right, okay. Keep talking softly, actually. I'm just working this out.
Okay. Just
No, you
DM it to
can't.
that person that says, "Hello, casters, you guys rock." That seems like the best way to do it.
So, this is a code for a mega bundle with 1,000,000 packs. It's not 1,000,000 packs. I can't say that. I can't
Don't
exaggerate.
just say a
You
million
can't just say
packs.
that. There will be a lot
Literally
of packs.
false
Yeah, that was a
advertising.
mega. Yeah, this is a mega bundle without 1,000,000 packs, but it will have a number of packs. I should have a list of how many packs it does have, just to correct myself. And you will put in the code into the Battle.net client, and if you're the first person to redeem it, you will get that mega bundle. The catch is that the first 4 digits are reversed in the code, and you'll have to work out what that means, because I haven't worded it very well, but that's your problem, not mine. So it's going to chat now. Good luck.
I believe it's 80 packs, 10 golden packs, 20 catch-up packs, I think, but don't necessarily hold me to that either.
Trying to get
but I
there.
think that's what it
You
is.
talk about Hearthstone. I'll find the
All
information.
right,
I'm
sounds
my
good.
job.
Arsenal best Premier League. Look, I'm not going to promise that buttering me up in chat won't improve your chances of getting a bundle code. Let's just put it that way.
80 packs, 10 golden packs, 1 signature legendary, 1 golden legendary, Druid hero skin, and 20 catch-up packs. And I am not saying that is official. That is what I've read on what I think is the correct place. But that's what I think you get.
Raren's still alive this game, which is a little bit surprising.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the game that you checked out of, I also had.
Not that they've really got anything going. This is my fear with cards like Bounty Wrangler, right? Like, if you are behind in situations like this, then you do have to, you just have a 3-mana Spider Tank in your hand that doesn't really do that much immediately.
Yeah.
I think if Rogue gets on board early and snowballs, then it has the best package for Excavate overall. So if you start getting ahead, then the efficiency of like the 1-mana spells will keep you ahead. But I don't know how much they do to catch up if they start falling behind significantly like this.
And that is a weakness in modern Hearthstone. Like, a lot of modern Hearthstone cards do scale quite well as the game goes on. And yeah, this is a card that doesn't scale well as the game goes on. So, Judge being allowed to do the thing here. Radiant, Rockmaster Rune, Huntsman. At least it's turn 10 this time. Copy them all. Oh my god. Yeah.
Wait, is this the rule? Do you just get Altamore every time from Wishing Well? Is that just how it works? Apparently.
I think so.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how it's been so far. So, anything caught your eye? You're not allowed to say Warlock, because we'll talk about that extensively, I'm sure, over the course of the evening.
Yeah, Warlock certainly was exciting, for sure. We've seen a lot of Rogue, and we've seen both sides of it now, right? Of just get a smooth curve, snowball, beat everyone up, and then fall behind, sit back, not doing anything. Outside of that, Dragon Druid kind of looks really strong right now, but Dragon Druid, like any Druid when you're playing in a format that's less refined, right, you just get to jam ramp cards over and over and over, right, because you're not going to get punished by these incredibly efficient decks on the other side. So I think Ramp Dragon Druid will look better in this than it necessarily wants to. Chat, stop making fun of my background. I'm moving house, okay? It's all a disaster. I can pull up a green screen to block it all off if you want. Very
Tenzin was
distracting.
playing the Drakkar here, by the way. As probably wishing well as well. Maybe just play them both rather than just one or the other. So you've got two options for the crazy turn. With them both being legendaries. Housewife, wifey with the Scourge. I lost to a horrible Scourge the other day. Oh no. Own Lord.
Oh no,
kill
yeah,
them.
I'm sure this game will go for 3 more turns from this point.
It can happen.
I mean, weirder things have happened, but not this game.
And they're dead.
And they died. But at least they attacked the Bone Lord.
Yeah, that makes the most sense. Stay with wifey, have another look at her next game if we could.
Sure.
People messing around with the Excavate classes almost exclusively, I think. Other than Druid, I guess. Am I right? I'm probably wrong. I'm always wrong when I make those claims.
What was the claim?
That we're seeing almost exclusively the Excavates. And then I instantly realised that we've seen Dragon Druid already. And
We've seen
Paladin.
Dragon Druid, yeah.
So I might be wrong a little bit, but that's not new.
We've seen a good amount of Dragon Druid, but I think largely people are excited to play the Excavate classes, right? It's no surprise that we're seeing quite a few of them early on.
Yeah, it's going to take a while as well because there's 5 choices at each tier. There's 5 classes with different legendary rewards. It is going to take a while to work out how good they are because they're not cheap this time around, Sottle. They're not like various spare parts and things we've had in the past.
I think the easiest comparison for Excavate in general is with the Lackey meta, right? Because a lot of the cards are costed very similarly to cards that gave you Lackeys. 2 mana 1/1 give yourself a thing is a card in both of those sets, right? Both for Lackeys and for Excavating Treasures. Obviously, when you scale up the Excavated Treasures, they are stronger than just base Lackeys were over time. And I think Lackeys surprised people a little bit in terms of how ubiquitous they became. I think a lot of people looked at it, well, like, okay, yeah, good value, good tempo with some of them, but it turned out that a lot of decks were playing Lackey packages overall. Battlecry, Shaman, Rogue, so on, so on. I expect Excavate to land in a good place for at least a couple of the classes. But a couple of the classes, like Mage, for example, I just don't think the Excavate cards are of significant enough quality to really play stuff. So yeah, we'll see.
2 mana freeze your Sea Giant, take 11 from your other Sea Giant, your 3/3, and your okay, sure.
Right.
It doesn't seem to really cut it, does it?
We don't talk about Lackeys. Why not? Too much trauma. I like Lackeys. Lackeys are fun. You got to play lots of cards. It's my favorite thing to do.
We have been, as a community, traditionally absolutely terrible at evaluating new things. Like starting with Dr. Boom right back in the day, where half the people didn't even read what Boombots did. Right the way through to Lackeys and stuff. We haven't been very good, have we, at seeing how good new stuff's going to be in both directions. Like there's broken cards that never got played.
Yeah.
Like was it Trogzor that just never saw play or whatever it was called?
Yeah, everyone misses some stuff, and most people miss most stuff, right? Like, the even at this point, we're actually getting to see cards get played. You have very emotional reactions to just things happening in a one-off game, in a very unsettled meta when people are playing unrefined decks in general. So it takes some time to really kind of figure out what the strong stuff is. The important stuff for like the first couple of days, at least the first week, is just to be like, hey, which of these ideas that this expansion presents me with actually looks fun and I'm going to enjoy playing for the first few days.
I'll have you know that I can have very emotional responses to a settled meta as well.
Oh, you can have emotional responses to a block of cheese. Like I've never
I did,
doubted.
in fact.
I've never doubted your ability to have an emotional response to anything.
It's a good skill to have.
Yeah. Lovely bit of fried halloumi.
A joke that literally 3 people will get. Superb.
Peep Show is a very popular show. People
Uh-huh.
do generally get my Peep Show references.
Good point. Okay, I was looking at Fisher's hand, but I'm just going to go back to watching Wifey's hand. This is like the 4th Death Knight we've seen. We did see somebody just 11 someone else in the face, but other than that, it's just not looked quick enough, has it? Again, we're in a very forced environment, but
My pain doesn't compare to your play.
it's going to beat Reno decks, though, which is great.
Haven't actually seen like a wildly impactful, lock the game out kind of Reno come down yet, right? In the first sort of 8 to 10 games or whatever that we've done so far.
I've seen a couple
only
of people ready to play it.
yeah.
With it being a one shot, it's living up to the flavor of the magic bullet. We're going to save it until I need it.
Mm-hmm. Why are we watching bronze players? Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. Bunch of absolute amateurs. Oh, can we do that next, Raven? Can we go to whoever is currently the highest rank? Thank you very much.
Who was it
Always
last
nice
time?
to see
Was it
like who's
Nibbler?
farming throughout the early games.
Yeah, everybody else is just having fun messing around. There's somebody always just rockets up to like silver 5 or something for no reason, or they've jammed the same deck for
I can't
2
remember.
hours.
I can't remember what deck it was, but I think the first theory crafting that Pocket Train got invited to when he blew up out of the competitive scene and started streaming and so on, so got invited to one. He just sat and jammed the broken deck for the entire duration and was like literally 15 ranks clear of everyone else by the end. It was fantastic. I had such a good time watching that.
Chat bringing up the question that we know the answer to about whether the plagues mess up Reno decks. Yes, they do. This will be a deck on day one that some people will definitely play to stop other people having fun with Reno.
That's right.
Me being some people. Oh, with hell yeah, they can't even get rid of them. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
They can't
Hell
even
yeah
ever
alone doesn't do it. Yeah, you need to actually
you one other
hit
card.
multiple copies of the same type. Yes.
Yeah, but hell yeah puts one of each in, right? So you just need one other plague
Yep.
from anywhere in the world, and their Reno deck never works again because it keeps going back in. It's glorious. I love it.
Correct. That does become slightly more difficult to do when you're facing down like 20 plus power on turn 6 and you're at 9.
Oh yeah, or you're facing Steam Cleaner, Reno, Warlock, or something. Yeah, good point as well.
Yeah, I do think like Steam Cleaner and ETC will become an even more popular choice than it is now. Like it's in a fair few ETC sideboards these days already, and I think it will be a little bit more common, if not main deck. Right, you do have to make up a lot of spaces.
So another win for Warlock. We've seen all sorts of different Warlocks seem to be getting it done. And so far, again, small sample size of people testing out new things. The Death Knight that I thought might be quite good, especially if someone plays Frost, doesn't really seem to be cutting it so far.
Yeah, Death Knight, I think, will take some time, right? It's one of the more difficult decks, honestly, to get to grips with new cards because it has that kind of 3 decks in 1 factor, even more than that if you're sort of mixed runing across the decks. So it takes some time to kind of decide like whether this deck you want to play is actually like, triple Frost or whether it's 2 Frost, 1 Unholy or whatever else that you end up going for. I think it's a very difficult deck to get full refinement on over time. What we got going on here?
Oh, it's Zotan, who is tied with Bunny for best rank, apparently.
I
And we've seen
see,
Bunny
and it
already.
is Warlock again. Love to see it. Oh no, my deck approaches its end though. So I'm assuming a large number of those cards were probably blown up by Zotan himself, being on the Warlock.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, we're going to have a look because I think Raven's going to stay with it for us. Have a look. What is the leading deck in the least important competition, but the most fun competition of the season?
Oh, if you're actually playing in this and you get off to a good start, you start to care massively about still being in front of everyone else. You know that to be true. Come on.
I cared massively about getting any wins at all.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, when they are as sparing as your wins are, they do take on greater importance, don't they?
They really do, yeah. Trolley Problem, Sludge on Wheels. These are some names, right?
Yes. I had trouble with the flavor behind this card for a while because obviously Trolley Problem summons 2 trolleys, which initially you think about, well, that defeats the entire point of the philosophical thought experiment, the Trolley Problem. But then you realize the idea is that it's a Warlock, and because Warlock are gits, they're summoning 2 trolleys so they can squash all of the people on both tracks. That's their solution to the Trolley Problem, and then it all made sense.
It's actually really funny at that point. Okay, Sludge on the bottom of the deck. Those sludges will explode at some point for sure. through a variety of different means. Pile of Bones is looking alright, you know. I kind of like it.
It's certainly, if you do get down that down early, it addresses all concerns I have with excavate cards being slow, right? You just add summon a 2/1 to every excavate you're doing, then yeah, sure, sign me up.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to pay for the first one, so obviously, but yeah,
Yep.
it's something that looks like it does nothing later game, but actually just having a thing that's chipping away for 2 is often so crucial. Even in this day and age, if you can just do those extra few points of damage against control, for instance.
It's just one of those things that maybe might not end up making optimal lists because, like, it's such a bad top deck later in the game, for example.
Yeah, it all depends where you end up, like what damage you're doing. I think that in Frost, again, I'm going to talk about Frost all night till someone plays it. I think in Frost in particular, or Frost-based builds, those extra few points of damage often really matter. So I think we might see it in those. But yeah, it does feel like it's a card that can vanish. I do understand that. Oh, Rin! I'd forgotten about Rin.
Rin is indeed a card. How long can this go on? Pickaxe.
They're just getting top decked all the time, which is great. I'm enjoying seeing the quick draw happening on the Pickaxe crew.
So two barrels on the bottom. When we looked through the Warlock cards, we went low to high, so I saw fracking first, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. They've got old tracking. Fine, that's just a good card already. And I hadn't seen any of the Barrel of Sludge stuff, so even tracking without the additional upside that comes with the Barrel of Sludges, I was like, yeah, this is a good card. And then you can also just stack a bunch of Barrels of Sludge on the bottom of your deck as well. It's pretty insane stuff.
Talking of pretty insane stuff, Waste Remover. 4 mana, 7/7. At the end of your turn, destroy the bottom 3 cards of your deck, which some could say might be an upside.
It very possibly can be, yeah.
So it's good, right?
So
I see 4 mana 7/7. Assume that the design team are going to meme us in some way that makes it look good, and it actually isn't. But this one looks incredibly good.
The funny thing is, the original 4 mana 7/7, that, you know, the idea is, oh, it was so broken a card that it created this meme about 4 mana 7/7s, actually ended up not being played in the optimal aggro shaman lists. Right?
Yeah.
Like, this wasn't that good a card in the end.
However, this one doesn't have overload, and obviously the point being that the downside is you destroy the bottom 3 cards of your deck, you lose 9 or 12 cards, and suddenly you're in trouble and your cards are running out, right?
Yeah.
But you're putting cards on the bottom of your deck that damage your opponent whilst playing a 4 mana 7/7 they have to deal with.
Yeah.
Games are going to end before you've run out of cards. I realise it's risk reward, but it doesn't feel that risky.
Yep, definitely Fel Reaver vibes. Is that the name of the card? It's a 5 mana 8/8 that got played in Aggro Druid and a couple of other decks way back in the day that discarded 3 cards from your deck every time your opponent played a minion, I think is how it worked. Was really undervalued by the community for quite some time until people started making work with it and hit a couple of rank 1 legends with aggro decks with it in. It's just like, if you have massive stats on board, you don't need cards in your deck. I've never killed my opponent with a giant minion and thought, man, I wish I had more cards left in my deck right now. Like, that's just not how it works.
Thinking back, that's one of the most balanced cards I can remember, because you did sometimes just die because your opponent played enough minions to just run you out of stuff, and then they killed your guy. That's a really good card, wasn't it? Really interestingly well-built card.
Mm-hmm. Well, this looks pretty straightforward.
Just hitting him.
They died.
And everybody clapped. Just having a look at the other Warlocks. I remember talking about damage in Warlock being, self-damage being a really good thing, and I can't remember what the payoff was for hitting yourself with Flame Imps. I just remember it's a thing.
In this expansion, particularly?
Yes. I remember mentioning it when I was talking about stuff, yeah.
Hold on. Anyone in chat have any idea what they're talking about?
I remember talking about Flame Imps. I remember saying, is Flame Imp still in? I'll find it later.
Okay.
It's fine. We've got a few hours yet.
So we have Dragon Rider on Paladin going up against Judge on Warrior.
is playing. Wondering why I go quiet at the start of every game is because I leave and have a look at the cards close up. Taunt Warrior Sottle is a thing that could happen. It looked quite good when we saw it earlier, I hate to say. How do you deal with endless
Did it?
boards of big health things? It looked playable.
Wasn't
Okay,
the
why
only
didn't
time
it?
we saw like Keleseth Taunt Warrior thing, it got murdered by Bunny's 7 legendaries on turn 5 or whatever it was, didn't it?
I mean, okay, so the answer to how do you deal with a load of big taunts is play 7 legendaries on turn 5. I think it was 5, but yeah.
Yeah.
It was 6, actually.
But I think like my response to that is so the board that it was up against was like a few 3/4 taunts and I think one other minion. Like a decent Miracle Rogue turn with those 5 coins and a location and some bone spikes or whatever else would have dealt with that board state just as well, right? Like wasn't an insurmountable position that the warrior got into.
My brain has got closer. Sorry, carry on. I'll tell you about my brain in a minute.
Okay. You get to play Keleseth on 2, and there's 2 copies of it in your deck, so it happens more often, right? Like, I get it. That sounds incredibly strong, but you do have to play taunt minions to make up for it, which kind of end up being understated anyway. And it's also worth noting in that one game that we saw earlier, they did literally top deck buffed Azerite Chain Gang with the quick draw effect on turn 4. Right?
Okay.
Like, that's the absolute nuts best case scenario.
So I remembered the thing by not looking at Google at all. Sheriff Barrel Brim. Battle cry, if you have 20 or less health, open the Badlands jail. And the Badlands jail makes minions go dormant for 3 turns.
Got it.
4
Okay.
4 for 4. So you play your Flame Imps, you hurt yourself with a couple of life taps, you play Sheriff on 4. Pew pew, put all their taunts and stuff in the Badlands jail and hit him with your Flame Imps. That was my plan.
Fair
I
enough.
knew there's a plan there somewhere.
But I don't know, Warriors in a weird spot overall because they spent quite a long time being pretty bad and then got so many buffs that they're now arguably the best class in the game, right? They have 2 incredibly strong decks towards the end of this expansion with Odin Warrior and Enrage Warrior. So they have the most competition for new cards coming in because they're already in such a good spot, right? And the taunt buff deck demands a lot of spaces, right? It doesn't feel like you're just going to sprinkle that into the middle of one of the already existing decks. It's like a whole new deck of its own, maybe with like Black Rock and Roll or some other stuff or something along those lines. Who knows? So my number one concern is that it just has significant competition in playing good warrior decks overall. Somehow we are looking at a Neptulon, and the name does not say Jambray. We're looking at Check Cloud on Highlander Priest, apparently. Oh, Renathal Highlander Priest. We've gone all the way. We've gone all the way, people.
We've got Sheriff Barrel Brim just on cue. Raven's just that good that he can listen to us and instantly filter through 50 players and find the one who's playing the card I was talking about. In absolutely not Warlock, but we'll worry about that later.
Sure.
So, I wanted to use a card to get rid of their 1 taunt and kill them with my Flame Imps. Is this a better use? You just play it in Priest, take damage for 4 turns, and then just use the jail to murder everything.
Wait, what happened? Did the Barrel Brim just come down at 22?
I think he might have hit you first.
Okay. Oh, okay. Order things happened. Fair enough.
Oh dear. And this is why we do this, of course, so we can laugh at incredibly good players for making mistakes they're never going to make again.
Yeah, this is why we play with new cards.
At least he's having the decency to play his Highlander Priest really quickly. Thanks, Check Cloud. We appreciate you. Because otherwise he's never going to get past Bronze 7. Joking aside, Highlander Priest actually looks reasonably viable, right? You've got some pretty powerful things going on.
You do, yeah. Elise, Badlands Savior. So if your deck has no duplicates, summon 4/4 copies of 4 random minions in your deck for an 8 mana card. That sounds really broken when you think about the makeup of minions that Priest has right now, right? Very small number of minions that all have massive effects, Behemoth and the Titan or whatever. The problem is when you stretch out to Highlander, you then are probably going to have to put several other minions in your deck and dilute that pool a little bit. I think that's probably what this Neptulon's about in Check Cloud's hand right now. Trying to do the Jambray thing and scam out random Neptulons from various summon effects.
Just the jumping gets credited for so many things. Just scamming out random Neptulons is definitely incredibly high on the list of things he should be credited for.
Only in your stream. I think there's a very specific few things that Jambray gets credited with, but in your stream, if any card gets played that isn't like one of the top 3 meta decks 30 card standard list, you accuse it of being a Jambray deck.
I mean, I did accidentally once in GM when I was doing the stats for GM call something Jambray Druid that he had never played just by mistake, and it was just called Jambray Druid for the rest of the season after that. It was fine.
There you go. I rest my case.
Yeah, you say that like it's a bad thing.
I did. I continue to say that like it's a bad thing.
Wow. That's not fair. Talking of not fair, my Titan eats your Titan before your Titan eats my Titan.
A world cleansed of evil.
Yeah.
My, that stirs my time.
Just take the Highlander deck card, right? Why not? What a clear. Okay then. Would like I'm naturally sort of not a fan of Priest. Would the Priest Titan still be really ridiculous if it was just get a random minion rather than discover a legendary one? Get a random legendary rather than discover one?
I think it would still be good, yeah, because the abilities are just really good, right? Like the remove 2 minions is just such an incredible tempo swing and leaves you in a position where your Titan can survive in so many spots. I think it would be a good card, but obviously it would be much, much worse.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. We've done the math on Discover before. It's not 3 times the difference. It's significantly more than that. It's like 8 times or something. I think if a Discover a number between 1 and 100, your average is something like 87 or something. It's a really high number.
Wait. Oh, like look at 3 numbers between 1 and 100.
1 and 100,
pick the highest
yeah,
one.
pick the highest one. You get something in the 80s somewhere.
Okay.
That's how good Discover
I
is
believe
compared
you.
to Rand. Yeah, I haven't done that math for. I did it when Discover was released. I knew the answer back then, but it was a confusingly high number.
You haven't done that math since you were American, apparently.
Wait, when was I American?
I don't know. You called it math, so I can
Oh yeah,
only natural assumption.
Well, I was the token American on the America's broadcast alongside TJ. The guest American.
So we are seeing Sneck come down here from Drew Thunder. 10 health been stolen. This doesn't seem to have the same critical mass of bounce effects that we saw previously from, who was that, Rekvam, I think? Who was just playing full Battlecry Warlock with Excavate and all of the bounces. But still, just an incredibly good card in its own right? Like, even if you do just play it once, it is an immense swing in a kind of slower control situation like this.
Yeah, particularly against Priest, who relies on being able to get back to 35 or something repeatedly.
Enjoy luck. I'm curious if that steel HP can go through armor, I'm assuming is what you're asking. Yes, it ignores armor. It steals health, exactly. So if you have 10 health and 362 armor, you die, because it steals 10 health.
Which is good. I feel that there haven't been enough uses in Hearthstone of armor versus health being different things, and when they have been, sometimes they've been awkwardly managed. So I really like this mechanic. Obviously,
yeah, with like the target lowest health characters, which was inconsistent for a little while with whether that counted armor or not. Which the correct answer is it shouldn't, and I think they fixed it so that all of those things do line up now. But yeah, it's a good point.
I think it's something that Hearthstone's getting very good at, is investigating all the different things it can do. I mentioned to Edelweiss earlier, as we see Gary come down.
Shut up. Don't even start. No, it is not called Gary. It is not called Gary. Craig is not pronounced Craig, and squirrel has 2 syllables. Okay, we're drawing the line here.
Okay. I don't know what I was talking about. Probably a
Yeah,
fizzy
it doesn't
drink.
matter. You just wanted to say Gary and troll me, and you succeeded.
Yeah.
Does it take max health? Yes, it does. Yes. So start like if you just played it on turn 1, let's say, I know that's impossible, but you both heroes have 30 health. You play it, you now have 40 health, and they have 20 max health. They can't heal above 20 anymore.
Gonna make some interesting situations in the mirror if you can't double bounce it in one turn.
Mhm.
You steal
That
30
Radna's
health off each
convinced
other
me to
over 3
pronounce
turns, and you just end up where you start, and now you've got no cards each. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Pure strategy will fail.
And then you have to race to get to the thing all the way through the excavations again to try and get another one.
Mhm.
That could be great. Can't wait. I really want to play this deck. Not the peace one, just to be clear.
Gigafin. I'm going to start with the Nether, though. We have now reached the point of the game where Check Cloud on Priest is just going to try and pull as many clears possible to try and stabilize from this point. There is a long way to go.
There is. But Check Cloud has a lot of clears, kind of. Like Gigafin's a clear, kind of. Fizzle's 3 clears, kind of. Astor's kind of a clear. Neptulon's a bit of a clear.
You're so ambitious.
I am. That's why I'm still
Yeah.
trying to play Hearthstone after all these years.
That's what I don't get. Like sometimes, like the difference between for people who don't watch Lorinda's stream, of people who haven't played Hearthstone with Lorinda in close proximity, the difference between Lorinda the Hearthstone player and Lorinda the Hearthstone caster is that Lorinda the Hearthstone caster is the most optimistic person you have ever seen in your life. Like, oh, well, you just need to draw these exact 9 perfect cards in a row and they all go perfectly and then you can still win, right? Whereas the Hearthstone player just thinks they're dying all of the time, 100% of the time, in every game, no matter how far they are ahead. And I don't understand where that difference comes from.
It's results-orientated thinking, I think.
I'm right, though, right? You don't dispute this.
Do I look like I'm arguing?
No. I'm just checking. You agree with my soul read here?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
in the game, it's just because I've got time to think about all the nice things that can happen to the person who's behind. But when it's me that's behind, I think of all the good things that can happen to my opponent instead.
Okay.
It's
Lorinda is
reasonable.
right in both cases, says Emma in chat. Okay, fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, those who have seen my stream will actually know that I have a 0% win rate and everything always does go wrong. There you go.
Yeah. So maybe that's the theory, actually, because when you're casting, you watch actual good players play Hearthstone, so you're used to them finding ways out of difficult spots. Whereas when you're playing the game, you're watching a really bad player play Hearthstone, so you're used to them snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Yeah, I think that's really much it. I think it's all the people who've helped me through the years that have put me in this spot, to be honest.
Yeah, that makes sense, actually.
Meanwhile, Check Cloud still has this fizzle, still has the Gigafin, still alive.
Yes, to people in chat who are just learning, Reno clears the board. It does not matter what it is. It can be a location, a portal, a nest. Anything that uses up a board space, it gets removed.
Meanwhile, Day One Sottle has deliberately learned the word nest to annoy me, so I have to learn it also.
I didn't deliberately learn it. It's just an hour ago it was played, and I'm able to remember a thing that happened an hour ago. It's not that difficult.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
I know, yeah. I've only got about, 10 years left, maybe?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting to see when this fizzle gets played from Check Cloud, who has slowed down dramatically when it got to the point where he had 10 health stolen from him for no reason, well, for very good reason. He was playing nice and quickly, so like, no, actually, if I'm going to play with 20 health, I am going to think about my turns very, very carefully.
Yeah, for sure. Do they get destroyed? They do not get destroyed. They just get removed. Yeah, Claw Fossil, no worries. That's what we are here for. As much as a lot of our time will be spent trolling each other and amusing ourselves, we are here as a service to you fine people.
Yeah, it's really nice to be able to talk to chat while we do our thing, because obviously, again, I mentioned this earlier, but people are coming in all the time. Normally on a competitive broadcast, not only do we not want to read chat's competitive insights sometimes, but also we're half an hour behind, so we can't even if we wanted to. But setting like this, there's plenty of streamers out there. If you find someone you want to watch on here, you've been watching them, maybe you want to put them on the mainstream, maybe you found a fun deck that deserves to be on the mainstream, give them some more views on them, just let us know. We'll try and do what we can do. Meanwhile, we haven't been counting horses, Sottle.
I confess I have not been paying attention to the number of horses. No, not at all.
I've seen at least some horses. So there are some more horses between 1 and 2 required to horse to victory.
This is a really important turn for Czech Cloud, though, because they've been under pressure significantly up until this point and haven't been able to play this fizzle to actually stock up on some of these nice tools, and now they've actually found the moment to do this. Actually turning a corner, unless these horses are going to get there for Drew Thunder.
People think it's possibly the last horse. Why are we talking about horses? When all 4 horses die, or the horsemen on the horses, as it happens, but they're horses, then the game ends in your favour. And we've seen
There's a
some horses
Bone Lord
die.
in Jumbray's deck. Some might say that's worth watching. I think the opposite is the case. It's all right. There's a Bone Lord on this cast already, so we've already got that covered.
Wow.
Couldn't have done it better myself.
Is Yogg a card, though?
Howdy, partner. Oh, thanks.
Oh, you're taking
It's all
16
a day's
next
work
turn.
for a hero.
Oh, no, it's been replayed already. We've got to draw the fizzle first. Okay. In a Reno deck that's for some reason got 3,000 cards still in it. What is this play?
Just reverbing for the extra taunt,
Yeah.
I guess. Doesn't really do anything though, really, right?
No, it saves
not-
3 damage.
Yeah, it's not really any additional security.
Oh, it can't get silenced. I mean, it can, but it comes back as a big minion at least. You've got to silence both of them. Don't know.
What?
Funny.
Can't just
That's
say
it can't get
words.
silenced. I'm trying to work out why. But then I realised who said it, and I realised I should never have read it in the first place.
Oh, okay.
Good effort, Camera. You got me.
What's the weapon in hand? Is this just enough, actually?
There's 6 damage from the movement on the right-hand side as well.
Oh, yeah. True. Oh, okay, that was the last horse. There we go. We did it. So there was not 2 more horses left. There was only 1 horse left. So actually could not find the way through that without dying in any way.
Right.
Icy Santa Claus told us 1 more. Okay. You are current chat god. There you go. Officially decreed.
Yep. Seconded. Don't know how long that lasts. How long does Chat God last? Oh, it's over. Unlucky. And watching Lilithy. She is on the Rogue.
Back on some rogue, yeah. Sorry, I love that concept. I was waiting to hear the noise that was that they the audio engineers had put in for just throwing a rock at someone, and it is perfect. It's so good.
That's fair tickled you, hasn't it?
I love that it's just a rock. Yeah, really makes me happy.
I mean, casters have struggled with names of cards. The casters being specifically the 2 talking to you right now, I think, since time began, and they just called it Rock to help us. Thank you. We appreciate you.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do we both like the excavate treasures? I like the treasures themselves a lot. They're obviously very, very powerful. But it depends what you're asking, because obviously the excavate treasures come attached to an overcosted card that you have to play in the first place, and that's kind of where my issue with some of them are. I think it varies a lot by class. I don't know, like 7 out of 10 overall for power level of the excavate package, something like that.
Yeah, I feel like they're relatively weak compared to similar things we've had. But again, you get the payoffs with some of the classes, and Drilly the Kid exists, who is quite clearly an excavate lord. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what Soddle said, unfortunately. I hate saying what Soddle said because then it makes me just sound like I'm copying the person who's a better analyst, but that is what I'm doing. So, hey. This looks... Oh, is Dane on copy
Yep.
your Bottle Priest?
Oh, yes. So Pip the Potent is a new priest legendary this expansion. Battlecry, copy each 1-cost card in your hand. There's a whole bunch of new cards in the set that allow you to deal damage or heal something, and any over damage or over heal goes into a 1-cost spell in your hand called a bottle. So, for example, there's an 8 damage spell. If you shoot a 2 health minion with it, you then get a 6 damage, which is the leftover bottle that costs 1 in your hand. And then obviously you can use Pip the Potent to duplicate those and get multiples. But also, Priest has a lot of very playable 1-mana cards to begin with. So you can see Funnel Cakes in hand right now, Crimson Clergy in hand right now. They also have Light It Burns, which is one of the most efficient removal cards in the entire game that costs 1. There is a lot of stuff that you can potentially do with Pip the Potent.
Yeah, does Armor Vendor even make it into the deck? I mean, sure, it probably does, but you know what I mean. There's so many choices there.
Water. Sweet, beautiful water.
Oh.
Yep. Love Everlasting now coming down, which gives the discount to all of these. The turn is over. It was a fairly Miracle Priesty looking turn, right? Had the draw a card overheal effect down, had the new minion, the Injured Hauler, I think it's called, which AoEs the opponent's board every time you get overheal on it. Combining together all the stuff with the heal effect cards in hand, all the bottles and various effects. You can see the kind of swing turns that are possible here.
Low on cards, though, so the card draw is going to need to keep coming for the priest. It might take a while to build this deck, I think, like to maximum efficiency. Obviously, day one, you put in all the 1-drops and see what happens. Over time, just on this very quick scan of the board now, it is a deck that if you don't kill your opponent, and it hasn't done anything yet, looking at the health totals, you are going to maybe have to find ways to keep refilling. Meanwhile, Lilith is just waiting for the well. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, I imagine most people who are doing this who are doing coin package will be trying to do it with Wishing Well, just for the fun factor during the theory crafting stream. I don't necessarily think it's the most powerful thing that you can end up being doing.
There is Pip.
Henry Squire, that does actually sound like an absolute disaster. I would be losing my mind if that happened to me.
Wow. That's unfortunate, yeah. Just reading the card. Pip. A 1-cost card is a card that costs 1 by default, right? Because Love Everlasting makes a difference here.
The distinction...
Reductions on the other things, yeah.
I believe the distinction doesn't exist in Hearthstone. We've been through this several times.
So,
yeah.
What will Pip copy if played right now?
Cards that cost 1, I think.
Cards that currently cost 1, or cards that cost 1 at the start of the game? Just saying that Love Everlasting might not be the best card. Yeah, he's actually got rid of it on purpose to make Pip
Right.
work.
Right. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I'm with you.
With all the cards were costing 0 because the Love Everlasting was showing them as reduced cost.
Yep. I'd say what the hell and eat it. Put it in the blender. Put a spaghetti bolognese in the blender.
Oh, don't make Sottle talk about food on Play Hearthstone, please. We won't play any Hearthstone. We'll just have talk Foodstone. And I'm here to be really serious. So,
Yep.
Known for it, me.
I will quite gladly just talk about cooking for the next several hours.
So, what is Dane Hearth cooking?
I mean, Dane Hearth is an excellent Hearthstone chef. right? Like Danehearth is well known for being able to put together these kind of degenerate, stupid combo decks and make them work. So it's no great surprise to see him going for something like this.
It's pretty good.
Or double benevolent benevolent banker off the creation protocol, which gives them both quick draw. It's a really obvious interaction when you see it, but it's not something I necessarily considered immediately. Can't play them both this turn because of the mana constraints, but that is worth knowing.
And this is a thief, right? This actually just takes the card if it's quick drawn, and it's gone. You don't take a copy. You're discovering an actual spell from your opponent's deck, right? And they never get it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't get a copy. It just yoinks the card. Doesn't say copy. It just says get the actual card.
Yoink is the word I was looking for. Thank you.
Yoink. Yeah.
Coin. Now we just need the well. Draw the well. Oh.
Okay, so that was quick draw and combo, and it only gave one coin, which sort of definitively answers that question. It does say quick draw or combo on it, so it did seem fairly self-explanatory, but nice to see it in action.
I'm just sitting here waiting for the well, but also waiting for the pit. Now
Yeah, there's a
you've got
lot
to
of just poking this board with a stick and saying, come on, do something right
Yeah,
now.
right?
Isn't there? No,
Like, Dane's gone from not being able to play the pip because of Love Everlasting to not being able to play the pip because hand size too big.
There's simply nothing I can do.
Don't steal the well. Oh, the well's not a spell, it's a minion, isn't it? Or is it a well? I don't know what it is.
The well is a minion, yeah.
It's a 0-7 minion, isn't it?
It's a minion, yeah.
Because now we have portal nests in the game. We need to know what things a portal nest is.
Portal nests. It's not a portal, it's just a nest.
No, but there's a portal as well. Those things are now forever called portal nests.
Oh, okay.
No matter what they are. Drilly? Gonna have to dump something for the double excavate. Seems like that's a good card to dump right now.
Sure, yeah, why not? Not sure where
Weird.
down the excavate train we are.
We're on max.
That's epic and legendary, yeah, okay.
Oh no, how do we do this? Got all these coins for the well that we've been diligently saving for the entire game, and now we want to just empty our hand and play 4 excavated things.
You have
And
to give
so-
up, right? I know you don't want to, because we're here to have fun and you just really want to draw the well that we're presuming is in the deck but haven't seen yet, but... I think the good play is just to use some of these coins and play stuff right now.
I think the fun play is actually still to do that as well, because we still get to see Azurite Scorpion get 4 random 0-cost spells.
Yeah, right, because you can step this, you can replay it, you could keep coining, you can still potentially play Azurite Scorpion this turn. But you could also be even greedier and just stick it out, try and wait for the extra excavates.
Yeah, let's just be super greedy.
Oh, there's a 0 mana Zola in there, but the rope got us. Oh, unlucky. Yeah, fair enough.
Both players just waiting to do their thing. Obviously, point being, we're going to get to see one of the players do their thing, and it definitely wouldn't have been quick enough in a high ladder match.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter, because I want to see things done. That's why we're here today. But
Where do the codes go when we get them? If you open your Battle.net client and go to the top right where your user account options are, you'll see an option there that says redeem code. You want to put it in there. And as Lorinda was saying earlier, I recommend that you have it open right now. Like, the fact that the codes go immediately is not because bots are getting them, it's because people are incredibly good at claiming codes very, very quickly. Trust us, we know.
always trust the casters.
Mm-hmm.
Still poking this with a stick.
Why not just chat raffles? Because essentially this event is like Raven, me, Edelweiss, and Lorinda hanging out, streaming on Play Hearthstone's channel because they've kindly let us do that. But we don't actually have ownership permissions of the channel to be able to do proper Twitch integration stuff, you know? So kind of have to do bootleg solutions to things somewhere along the way. They are fakes. Popo, the real codes will be from someone who has a VIP symbol next to their name, which looks like this or like Raven. Yeah. There you go. Codes are for a mega bundle for the new expansion, which is 18 new expansion packs, 10 golden packs, 20 catch-up packs, and some assorted other bonuses, cosmetics, random legendaries, and so on.
It's worth having.
Yep. They're spamming codes to confuse the bots, which definitely exist. Yes, agreed.
I mean, I don't know if everyone else is going to do the same thing, mess around with some of the letters and tell you how we mess with them, just to make sure that anyone who's got a problem there might be bots can rest at ease, because the bots can't hear us talk and they mess them around. Not that there are any, and they all went to humans last time, but you know.
Yeah, Skynet hasn't got us just yet. We're getting there, though.
We are.
Oh, did you make a Windows noise, Raven? How dare you? Okay, he definitely did, apparently.
Again, sorry that neither of us are particularly casting this particular game very hard. We're waiting for the big thing to happen on either side.
So many options.
And it will. But Bunny Hopper, being the world champion, drew his well on turn 4.
Yes. Yeah, for
That's
sure.
how being the world champion works, or something.
But I think, honestly, Lilithy can just push from this position.
Yeah.
Right? Like, has the tempo, was it Valspine Slayer, very similar card, but Excavate version, can just push a little bit of damage, start stacking up minions on board.
But wishing well.
Too soon.
That's my counter to your argument.
Sure. Counter argument, kill your opponent.
But wishing well. Yeah. I'd kill my opponent if I could. Must have. And then they'd heal miraculously up to 50 and I wouldn't win. Time to draw 1,000,000 cards for Dane. 1,000,000 being 3 or 4.
I think we need to have further discussion about what can and cannot be put in a blender. Sure. I mean, if you're going to pitch me like some sort of bolognese pate that you then spread on like a crusty bit of bread or something, then sure, there might be some merit in actually doing that. But in a vacuum, the idea of blending a bolognese is a disaster.
Blending stuff in a vacuum?
Blending stuff in a vacuum, yeah, why not?
How does that work? Oh no, don't you dare! Thank
The
you.
wishing well? There's no coins though, right? What would you even do?
There's simply nothing I can do.
But you can't. Well done, Dane. Just in case.
They're just rebuying the Shadow Step over and over and over.
Oh no. That is actually disgusting, isn't it? Just get rid of the shadow steps.
Fan to set up the Bone Spike, so can get Bone Spike value, can at least cheat 1 more mana with the Psychic Conjurer now. Yeah, you can sense Dane a little bit of panic mode now.
I can't imagine Dane in panic mode.
No, that is fair, actually. Not a really fair assessment of their personality.
Dane in trying to win the game a little bit more. Something. Good word, if I knew words. Lee.
Sorry, did you just have a stroke? Are you okay?
I'm not okay. I'm
Okay.
been okay for some time. So about 9 years.
I've never heard someone give up more in the middle of a sentence before.
Just get halfway through a sentence and realise I should never have started it, get stuck, and I can either double down, which is my default, or I can give up,
Yes.
which sometimes I do when I realise I shouldn't double down here. But finishing sentences has never been my strong.
Hey casters, what deck are you going to try first? From what I've seen so far, I will be trying Barrel of Sludge, Excavate, Warlock with bounces.
Yep.
Something along the lines of what Rekban was playing earlier.
I'll play that for 3 games, and then I'll lose to 3 Blood DKs, or Plague DKs, or Venos or something. I'll switch to whatever counters those decks. Because I'm miserable.
There it is! Hey! Can we get a round of applause, everyone? Claps, please, in chat. We've drawn the wishing well.
We've got a dart throw. And a miner. I think the next excavate is 1, but I might be miles off.
I
wouldn't be
don't
surprised
remember
to get-
seeing a 1 since the spider, right? So I think you might be correct.
So we could get 2 coins. And another one from the dart. It can happen.
Which neutral legendary will be in every deck from this expansion? None that I've seen so far.
4 mana 4/4 jailer person.
No shot. What do you mean? Every deck?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Apart from a very limited number of aggressive paladin decks. How about that? Oh no, we've got 2 wishing wells. And a 50-50 of... Yeah, kill the 1/2, and you've got a 50-50, right, of hitting the same minion twice?
So many options.
Yes. Are you that desperate for coins, though? I understand the answer to that question is yes. I guess a better question is, should you be that desperate for coins? Oh, it's gone all the way back to
4
Epic, by the
legendaries?
way. We've
Oh,
managed
okay.
to miss 2 entire treasures.
For 4, because it's double wishing well, double coin? Yeah, I want that. With
Yeah,
one
that's
card left in my
next
deck.
turn, though, right? I guess you could have prepped it, like, prepped darts this turn.
That's what I'd have done.
Mm-hmm.
Choose
That's what they'd spend all summer doing in Stoke.
Ah, maybe. Do they still play darts in Stoke? I'm
I
out of the
don't
darts
know.
scene these days. But, yeah.
I don't know if anyone, because like there was Phil Taylor and then there was Adrian Lewis, right? I'm not sure if anyone came after Adrian Lewis to keep the tradition going.
Yeah, the trouble is, Phil Taylor sort of went alongside Adrian Lewis at the same time and was still just better than him.
And just
He scored
battered him
everything.
every time. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we got this great tradition of Phil Taylor and then Phil Taylor being better than someone else in the same town.
Yep.
This time we've excavated 8 times, so this time we are getting 0 cost stuff.
Yep.
But it needs to be really good.
They need to be good, yeah, because we are running out of stuff. Oh, because he shadow stepped really the kid. Yeah. Thank you, Poker Joker. You are precisely correct. Shadow step drill, and I shriveled into a corn cob.
Had that for some time.
What does the well do? Every time you play a coin, you get a random legendary in your hand, and it costs 1. And Rogue as a class has lots of ways to add extra coins to their hand in this expansion.
Worst black rock and roll in the history of anything. That's incredibly unfortunate. Not a bad frozen touch.
It's a decent frozen touch, yeah.
options.
The opponent's 1-card hand being Reno is fairly irritating if you're trying to end this game, though.
Yeah. Your opponent's hero power healing them and being ahead in fatigue is also awkward.
Wait, what am I feel like we were supposed to
Kill some things.
antique the wishing well before we did anything else.
Yeah, I think we're supposed to set up a dart shot on 2 minions or 1 minion, right? As well.
Yeah.
I think also this game has probably rotted everybody's brain, plus they're both streaming. So
For sure, yeah. Again, you know, commentating a competitive tournament and saying, well, this is a mistake, this person should feel ashamed of themselves and never play competitive Hearthstone again is very different from just saying, hey, I think this play might be better. These people that are just having a good time playing pre-release cards.
exactly. Oh no, the only minions she can set to 6/7 are her opponent's ones. This is a really unfortunate hand.
By the way, I know you're all watching. Who came up with Ogre Fist Boulder? Like, come on, just tell me. I want names.
Oh, the Wells.
We know Wells are minion.
No, I got it. I was thinking they couldn't Boulder Fist something, but yeah, Raven corrected me before Sottle did.
It's a little
Me, it was me. It's all ogre. Gallon, I did. Okay. Glad we solved that one, chat. Thank you.
Cheers, Jiffy. We appreciate you for doing it.
I give up.
Woo! Yeah,
Butter.
and that's the end of that game, and that's the end of me for a little while. I'm going to take a break, and we'll let Raven have a go with Sottle. That never ends badly for anybody, does it? Usually Raven, to be fair. But
Hello.
thanks, everybody, for having me.
Yeah.
In a few moments.
I think you guys can hear me now as we find a game. How's it going? I know how it's going. I've been watching, but who do you want to watch, Sol?
Who we got? Dragon Rider we've seen. Bunny Hopper we've seen.
Oh, wait, no,
Engine
you don't
we've
get to pick.
seen.
I'm picking. Hang
Oh,
on.
okay, go
we
for
need
it.
to check something very quickly. I think Raran was on Hunter. Also, hello, everyone. I have been there, but I've been doing other stuff as well. Hope you're enjoying the stream. Oh, yeah, Hunter. There we go. And Zotan, okay. Yeah, I'm sure Lorinda will do more giveaways soon, and maybe Sol will join in as well. There we go.
Yeah, so Raven is doing the extra work this stream. Raven's actually running the OBS and the spectate and everything for us as well. So he's jumping in, doing a bit of casting for us as well. But we can get an extra thank you in chat for Raven for doing all the hard work.
It's nice. That's
Sometimes
nice.
I'll be nice to you.
But more importantly, Hunter! Look at this, the legendary's already down. And we discussed this, Sol, and this legendary, I felt, got better the more we discussed this yesterday.
Yeah. We looked at it and we started thinking about, okay, how much do you have to buff it? And then we're like, okay, what if you just don't buff it at all and just play it? And then actually,
And that was the one!
yeah, if you look at the pool of 2-drop beasts that you can get from it, it's pretty good. But Explosive Sheep is like the really, really horrible one that you aren't going to want to run into most of the time. And of course, ruining the point that I wanted to make, the sheep shows up.
Yeah, I'm excited that not many people have jumped to Hunter, and I kind of understand why, because it's sort of gained a little bit of a new package, right? It's not had its the arcane stuff overly enhanced, apart from the new weapon. But I'm glad we're checking out some of this, because cards like 10 Gallon Hat, shout out to Gallon, of course, have looked very interesting. Whenever you can draw cards in Hunter, you do have to look at them.
Just jamming the double stats on board, facing down 11. Only needs 7 from the opponent. Nice 0 mana dragon comes down, doubling up on Frost Lotus Blossom. This will be a thing that people who played in the Druid meta recently will be very used to seeing. Core component of the deck that absolutely dominated the game for a few weeks.
And I know we've been watching this on and off, but what have you thought of this? Just overall, the dragons in Druid right now, because we've seen a sprinkling of games so far. It's looked okay.
We have, yeah. So I was talking about this earlier. It's hard to assess, right? Because all of the decks are unrefined.
Yeah.
So when decks are unrefined, you have the ability as Druid to just play Wild Growth and play Nourish, and you don't really get punished for it. And yeah, if you just have 10 mana and you get to start playing Rhea Straza and everything else kind of uncontested, it's going to look amazing, and it has looked amazing. But I don't necessarily know how long that'll last when it has to face down more refined minion decks on the other side.
Okay, that'll be interesting. I do think it's one of those things, right? In as we are going to stick with Raran to watch more Hunter. By the way, I'm truly in control now. But it is interesting that it's one of those things where in an expansion, what's the most straightforward package, right? And it's look at all these dragons that buff each other in Druid.
Yeah.
Let's play those. So yeah, I'm interested to see how that will go going forward, because the dragons are strong, but we're going to get into Raran. Oh, facing Zotan again, so it's going to be a rematch. Keeping Reno and keeping hold of that cat trick. Also, are you a fan of this Hunter portrait, Sol?
Am I a fan of this Hunter? I hadn't looked at it.
Stare at it and look what he's got in his lap.
In his lap?
Is that not a kitty cat?
Is it?
Is it not? I mean, it looks closer to a cat than any other. I wish I could enhance.
Remember, I'm watching through a smaller version of what
do you have
you're
the stream
looking at
open?
that you're sending to me. I can, yeah.
Are you ready?
Oh, yeah. I see what you
Enhance.
mean. Yes. Yeah. Oh,
There we go.
hello, buddy.
Oh, now I need to fix this. I probably shouldn't mess around too much with this, should I? This is a bad
Yeah,
idea.
probably not.
But we had to take a look. There we go. Sorry, guys. We're good.
What's the name of the skin? Can I find the full art?
I actually don't know the name of the skin. I'm sure chat will help off the top. Yeah, I'm not sure. I've literally only seen it now, and I saw it was a person with a cat and thought of Sottle.
It's a fox, allegedly, according to someone in chat. We've been through this with Eudora before, right?
Yeah, fox, cat, tomato, tomato. Well, Eudora's a Vulpera, so not technically a fox.
Okay.
Oh, here he is. I think this card's good. I know we've not seen it too much, but I think when you were talking earlier about to Lorinda about, or when you got asked, I think, were there any neutral legendaries that are going to see? Maybe not in every deck, but a lot. I would definitely say Flint Firearm. I think it's just like an overall good card.
Speaking of overall good card,
Yeah. Theldon.
this thing slaps.
Yeah, look at this. At worst, it's just a. Is it 4? Yeah. At worst, it's 3 damage to face, which I can respect in Hunter.
Yeah, like, I mean, that was a 3/4 with charge, right? Like, it was already Kane, the Demon Hunter legendary, right? Like, fine. But again, like, it's a Highlander card. It's supposed to be higher power level than most other legendaries. That's the point.
Oh, okay. Again, another card I like. I was a fan of just because of just situations like this, right? Where yes, you could argue there were better cards to draw, but I just think it's just a 3/2 that kills a thing for free and lives to tell the tale.
Situations like this that were the absolute nuts, where you just draw it off the top with exactly 2 minions on the other side of the board. Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, but if there was 1 minion or 3 minions, it's still good, right? Like
Yeah,
it's still
yeah,
2
yeah,
for
yeah.
ones 9 times out of 10, right? So like that's what I
Right.
mean. It just feels like a good card. It's like the immune plus poison is just good enough. Oh, and there's Starshooter. Okay, I mean makes sense in Highlander, right?
Yep. Again, anyone who's playing with this has to have a minimum number of cards from the new expansion in their deck as well. So you will see a few more cards get played, perhaps, than might end up in optimal lists further down the line.
Yeah, and for those asking, I saw someone ask earlier, oh, casters, what deck are you going to play first? You're looking at mine, more or less.
Shock, horror, Raven plays Hunter. 10 cards, yeah, and duplicates count. So if you're playing 2 copies of 1 card, that's 2 of the 10 accounted for.
What's going on here? That artwork. So I feel like the full arts, or the signatures, I apologize, just keep getting better. Like every set, oh my god, they just keep improving. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I think fair to say a mixed reaction to the initial signatures that got released, but they served their purpose of kind of a useful test case because it allowed everyone to kind of vocalize, no, this is what we want from a card like that, right? Like, this is how we'd want it to look. We want more focus on the actual full art factor, and I think they responded to that really, really well.
I love
and
it
all looked
because they just
fantastic.
went, this is what we want. Oh, we prefer this. Okay.
Oh,
the
okay,
answer,
there you go.
and I love it.
Yeah.
Like that is the answer you want to hear, right? Okay, that's what you want. There you go. And I think I've been seeing it all evening in chat. Like, oh, look at that full art, it looks so good. Oh, look at the artwork in this, it looks so good. So yeah, shout out to the everyone who's worked on the art, especially for this expansion. It's fantastic.
Yup. Did you shout out to the audio design as well? Did you hear the noise of the rock being thrown at someone?
I didn't.
Earlier?
I must have. I've got
was
stuff pretty quiet because I want to hear you guys and make sure I'm pressing the right buttons. So, and I need. If you're saying something sounds good, someone who's missed a play on mute, then it must sound good.
I will literally press escape, go into options, and put the volume on
to
every
throw
time
the
I throw a
rock.
rock at someone. Yeah.
Brilliant. That's high praise. High praise. Yeah, like these cards, these dragons just look decent, right? Like, oh, it deals this much. If you hold in a dragon, it's like, well, there's so many been printed that if you want to play, it's not like, oh, it's going to be a rare case, right? If you hold in a dragon, I feel like they might, although these decks might be overdoing it a little bit again because of the restrictions on the players of having to play X amount of new cards. I think like you can very easily just have these pop off very consistently.
Nice looking board you got there.
Yeah,
A shame if something were to happen to it.
And I know it's difficult to say, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Do you see this Reno as a very common keep in Reno decks? Obviously, because you have to play it in there. But do you think we saw Raran keep it in the mulligan? Like, do you think that is a sign of things to come?
I think so, yeah. Unless the class for the Highlander deck just has tons of card draw naturally, like you might not necessarily be keeping it in Warlock or whatever. Like
Sure.
Warlock's an Excavate class anyway, I suppose. So bad example, but I think if you're drawing limited cards, which Highlander Hunter is probably going to do, then yeah, I think it'll probably be a reasonable keep a lot of the time.
Okay. I have not seen the hero power not be the nuts for Reno yet. Like, they're just good, right? Like,
They're
every
really
single
good,
one.
yeah.
There's not
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, I've whiffed. It's like, no, they're just always good. You press that thing every time. And this is getting close-ish to the point where Flint's gonna, I think, really come into play in this style of deck, especially in Highlander, right? I think when I was talking to you and Lorinda last night when we were reviewing the cards, like in Highlander where you're running in sort of a non-optimal list anyway, like having this guy just potentially on turn 10 just draw you a few cards, create a few cards and be able
Yeah.
to just chuck them out for what's basically cost you one whole card. I think it's going to be really powerful.
For our enlightened casters, are we thinking every Highlander needs to run Steam Cleaner? It's obviously wildly meta dependent, right?
Yeah.
I personally don't think Plague DK is going to be a very good deck. So you're just going to have to react to the meta that's presented to you, right? Like, if 25% of ladder is Plague DK, then yeah, you probably need to have a Steam Cleaner in there. If 10% of ladder is Steam Cleaner, maybe you have an ETC. If is Plague DK, maybe you have an ETC with a Steam Cleaner inside it, that kind of thing.
There's also
Any less than that, nah, you're not
There's also
bothering.
the worry for me where, like, does Plague DK beat Highlander decks? I know it stops them doing the things, but does
Right,
it
right,
actually... It has to still win, right? Like,
Exactly,
They
yeah,
don't
yeah.
get to play Plagues and then your hero blows up, right? Like, they have to still actually win the game. So I think that's the big factor, is, like, even with the Plagues, how often they... Like, what their win rate looks like actually, as opposed to saying, oh, they win the game if they play multiple Plagues.
Everybody's going to play the 4-drop to disable Highlander. Quiet. Quiet, donkey. Don't forget Sludges. Yeah, Sludges too.
Sure. I think that from what we've seen, Warlock looks like the immediate terror for me, actually. Warlock, that thing scares me.
I've seen a lot of things in my time.
Hollow Hound. Old classic. Some nice buff going on here. And also just value-based. I mean, obviously it helps that, well, Raran kept Reno and got to play it, but
Yeah.
it's a weird world we're sat in, right? Where Hunter's on nearly a full hand against a Druid and also kind of winning on board as well. It is just winning on board, actually, at this point. So, yeah, what a time to be alive right now.
I think that is a problem that Dragon Druid will have to solve at some point, right? Is that they're very, very board-based. They don't currently, as I see it, like do degenerate things from hand. Like Ignis comes down, can do those kind of things sometimes.
Great time in Ignis.
Yeah. And because Reno is going to be a fairly common card, you would imagine, on the other side, like that will destroy your Dragon Nest as well, right? So that'll be the end of your value from Rheostraza, even if you've got a ramp into Rheostraza start anyway. So I do think you are going to have to find some sort of solution to how you reestablish against decks like this, but looking over at Zotan's hand, there's still plenty of value going on there, right?
Just play some kind of bounce with Ignis, it's fine. Just duplicate it or something.
It does seem a lot of putting stuff in the middle so far, this expansion, right? Should bode well for middle enjoyers. There's not been a great deal of saving up cards, OTKing with hand. It's mostly been people playing minions and fighting for board from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I think I mean, the Warlock thing is the craziest thing, right, that we've seen so far with the the Steel 10 stuff. But outside of that, it seems very fighty.
Mm-hmm.
We see the little snakes coming out to play. I think a really, really strong card for Hunter coming out in this expansion. These might look a little bit underwhelming, but this is a 1-cost summon 2/1/1 beast with stealth. Like, there are a lot of uses for them. And this is just a
Yeah. Living Roots with stealth in a class that we saw it earlier. Rowan had Doggy Biscuit in hand, right? This is the Doggy Biscuit class. Having 2 stealth 1-drops just opens up some real powerful options.
Okay, let's see the big swings. I will say as well, I feel like we haven't seen too many players like actively play around Reno. I feel like they're all just going like, playing new cards, and then they get Reno'd and they're like, oh yeah, you know, like I have to remember that card because especially in the likes of
stuff.
especially in the likes of Dragon Druid, right? Like you have so much, like each card is like a minimum 4/5 or 5/5 or something, right? So like they're pretty bulky things at worst. So you could just have a couple on board or 3 maybe and be okay. But I just feel like we've seen everyone just like throwing cards out left, right, and center.
Yeah, for sure. Raran gonna try and make something happen here, but it does look pretty dead to just that weapon at this point.
Mm. I just realised, where have these sludges come from? I feel like I missed something.
Sludge on wheels.
Ah, was that what it? Okay.
Where'd my lunch go?
They it was from, so I think their snake got 3 attack and then summoned a sludge on wheels as one of the 3 drops from the snake, and then the sludge on wheels got barrel of sludges from 2 sources of damage, something like that. Something happened.
Stuff happened.
Mm-hmm. The what's it called? Spurs fan, that thing.
Oh. Oh! I mean,
Get Illidari, idiot!
sure, I know we had some people saying where are the demon hunters at. Does that count?
Kablam! Take it, boy.
Okay, so as we go back to our lovely faces for the second, anyone you particularly interested? Chat. What about you? What about you guys? What do you? Who do you want to see? Who have we not seen that we want to see? I'm trying to scroll through the list now to have a quick look.
I don't think we've seen Regis. Don't think we've seen Old Guardian. Haven't seen Theo, Roffle, Meaty. Any of these?
Let's check in with Regis. Let's see what Regis Kilbin's up to.
All right.
Let's see what's going
Regis
on
is
there.
good people. Yeah. We have seen Kibler, Kawa, yeah. Predictably, Kibler was immediately Dragon Druiding. We dropped in with Kibler very, very early.
Okay, let's jump in game. As we see Regis on the bottom, going to be on. Hang on, I need to stare at this for a little bit. Where are the class? Shaman? Yeah, okay. Highlander Shaman, I think. And then Highlander Lich King, Highlander Death Knight from Clark Hellscream.
You've been in tighter scrapes, Reno.
Or Clark Hellscum, as his name actually is.
I mean, look, you said it, not me.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, that's the name. I'm just reading it out.
Are there any, you know, the Highlander legendaries? Are there any of the classes that you think this will be a Highlander class this expansion? You know, like priests, like, oh, the majority of priests will be Highlander. Do you think anything stuck out to you, or do you think Highlander feels more like an option?
Don't make me predict that Highlander decks will exist. I don't want to.
Well, I'm doing it.
I think Felder in the Lost is an incredibly strong card, right? Even, yeah, I know Hunter has a slight hand buff theme this expansion, but even without hand buffs, it's just an incredibly good card. But just my psyche, like Hunter is one of the most difficult classes for me to say you should be playing this Highlander, because Hunter to me has always been the extreme consistency, play your good cards, kill your opponent quickly by just drawing your good cards and curving out, right? Like that's what Hunter does, and Highlander kind of takes away from that naturally.
But it has been good in the past, funnily enough.
It has been good in the past, yeah. So we'll see. I think they do vary in power level. I have my concerns about the priest one in particular, just because of I don't know if you can make it all the way to a Highlander deck and still have that like 90% spell, 10% minion ratio that Priest has right now that would allow you to like consistently do really, really broken things with the Priest Highlander legendary. So we'll see. I think it's interesting.
Because Reno, it's a heck of a card, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
I would even argue. Oh, that was
We
big.
burned a mountain. It's got Mega Wind Fury.
It's just text.
I didn't read the word Mega when I was first looking at that card, and I was like, yeah, just kind of unplayable, right? It's just like, why have we got a 9-mana walking fountain? And then I read the word Mega. Because they've largely removed Mega Wind Fury as a thing, right? It used to be a Battlegrounds thing, and now it isn't anymore, really. Like, Goldening Wind Fury minions doesn't generally give you Mega Wind Fury anymore.
Early on, it used to be a thing that you had to jump through about 8 different hoops to achieve and things like that, right?
Yeah. Oh, like was it Mimron's Head?
It was when remember when you played in Gfinity. Do you remember? Was it Ecop that did it? Or someone did it, right?
No way. In tournament?
Yeah, someone did it. At the Gfinity event you played in. Yeah, I remember. Someone for sure did it.
Okay.
And this card is also a bit. I know Lorinda was talking about this. More important, we saw it in the game earlier where the health just kept coming. It was actually pretty. I'll be honest, the card didn't blow me away when I first looked at it, but I've seen it played once and stick, and I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty scary. Now that you think about it.
This card though, Giant Tumbleweed, seems incredibly powerful to me. Yes. Like, I know people will probably be surprised to be like, oh, Highlander Shaman, but it got really good control tools this expansion.
Oh, look at that animation as well. This is what I've not heard enough about when I've been sat watching all you lot talking about the game. Let's talk about the animations because they're sick. Like, they're so good.
You have earned an eternity of torment.
It's hell yeah, though.
So it's one of each plague. So if there was any other individual, like at least one other plague in there to begin with, which you would imagine there was, then the Highlander cards will now be shut down.
This is not what we stood for.
It's Clark cooking with the Talon. Clark is a Talon enjoyer. Have you noticed this? Big fan. Yep, yeah, another high quality control card with Dehydrate. I thought it was nature. Is it not nature?
No, I guess not. Probably too strong.
It doesn't appear to be there.
Got to be careful with these spell schools.
I'm sure when I looked at it originally, I said that it like introduces more consistency into lightning reflexes to be able to draw healing. No, it's not nature. Yeah, okay. Ogre Gang coming down.
I'll say that 6 times in a row fast with a slight singy song.
Take a good look. You ain't never seen a light again.
Okay. This is tricky though. I feel like again, difficult to tell right now until we see, the expansion out in the wild, so to speak. But the sheer value the Reno versus Reno matchups have is kind of busted. I just wonder where the aggro decks will fall into these kind of matchups, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the key.
We're not really seeing it, right?
But also, it's just one thing I like about Reno, and even though this looks like a bit of a slower value-based game, is that hero power stacks up. Games will not last that much longer if you just hero powering every single turn with Reno. Oh, Tumbleweed again.
Giant Tumbleweed again. Well, none of those cost 2. I guess you can just shoot it down, yeah. Discover a spell. You are going to 10 card at the end of this turn now, though, but I guess no big deal. The value proposition is pretty one-sided right now, isn't it?
Yes. But weirdly enough, it doesn't mean the game's decided, right? Because you can only play so many cards, you can only do so much stuff. That's a good, getting a bit of tempo here. And again, a lot of this, I do wonder, actually. I was talking about how good the Reno hero power is in general, but I wonder how many matchups are going to come down to the, oh, I got this series in the hero powers in this order, right? And so you can get the better of it.
Sure, yeah. Shoot yourself in the face and open the jail. Any takers?
Oh, I mean, that sounds pretty good to me. What's green do? I need to remember the colors. Or what does green crystal do?
Oh yeah, I'm not sure on.
Wait, I can just
hero
check.
powers,
I'm in
yeah.
control. Why am I asking? Oh,
Oh,
deal
draw
2,
a
draw a
card.
card.
Okay.
And this one is the damage. Sorry, discover a spell. Okay, sure.
It's kind of good, right? Like otherwise, this 917 is really awkward to deal with. Okay,
Yeah.
we're just gonna go fishing.
Oof.
Presumably, there are some removal cards in here. These don't cast for anyone who hasn't seen this interaction before. Finley technically, mechanically, does not draw cards. Therefore, the plagues don't activate. Oh yeah, Primus, your Primus. Fat Les Claypool bass solo all over everything.
And the yellow bullet is... Oh, it's the 2/2. Okay, I think I knew that one because I thought of Paladin. I'll have to do those memory tricks to learn what the bullets are.
Regis was a race car driver. Yeah, thank you, Pizza Card, for playing along. Aroo!
Yeah, dog's getting excited.
Dog heckin' loves Titans.
Yeah. Just recognize good plays. Oh. I know we spoke about excavation yesterday and how well you thought it may or may not be. Have you changed your mind at all? Is cards like this kobold? Do you think it's going to happen, or I know Warlock
I think
is
it will
one,
happen.
but
I think it will happen. I just don't. I don't necessarily think it will be like the defining factor of the expansion. Let's put it that way. I think
I guess it's hard
certainly
next to Reno, to be fair, with that comment, right?
It's hard next to Reno, yeah. I think like the Rogue Excavate cards are high quality enough to see play, but it's just what Rogue deck forms around that. I think the Warlock Excavate cards are high quality enough to see play, but it's about what deck forms around that. I think Excavate will have an impact. We will do things. It will happen, but I don't think it'll necessarily be like, Excavate is what you're facing half of the games that you play against, right? I think they might be less common than lackeys. There you go. There's a definitive statement that people can hold me to. Don't like talking in vague terms that allow me to have get out of jail free cards.
Red one. Ah, that's the AoE. Okay. Fine. I'm remembering. I'm trying to log all these away in my memory.
Here's some sewing, and here's
is
some
this the
reaping.
taunt? This has been so good.
Yeah, good
Like
card.
Steelhide Mole, we've seen a lot today, and you just play it and think, why is that allowed? Obviously, it's because you have to play an Excavate card and hit it. I understand, but still. Ooh, he has the right rat. That is quite good. Because this is steel, isn't it? Yeah, take control of enemy.
Yeah, take control, yeah. Sleeper card of the set, Showdown. I didn't really see anyone talking about that card until I looked at it.
We were all over it, though. I don't want to toot our own horns, but we were all over that. It was funny earlier when, as soon as open Jambray, it's like, oh, look, the combo. We spoke about this.
A bird flies down and lands in our hand. Are we Jambray? What does Chromatic Explosion actually do? Does anyone know? Like, that card's never been played ever,
This?
right? Yeah.
Lifesteal deal 6 damage.
Oh, that's
Summon
the
4.
thing. Right.
Yeah.
So you've got to spend corpses first, which is kind of annoying. But I mentioned like what, 6 turns ago or so, how one-sided the value proposition was, and it's kind of flipped. And to be fair, Regis did kind of do that to himself because he put all his good cards in his deck and replaced them with plagues instead.
Yeah, there's like what, 4 of these cards are actually just taking up slots, right? Like they're actually not
space,
achieving anything. There is Glug though, Sol, and you know what I think about Glug?
That if Glug gets played, you win the game immediately.
Exactly.
Right, okay. We gotta fix an add-on in the future so we can hover over cards. The thing is, like that, because this is pre-release and these cards aren't actually out yet, that wouldn't work.
Well,
Like
the add-on's third party, right? It's
Exactly,
not a
yeah.
Blizzard thing, so the third party team don't have access to this stuff, basically, until it's out.
Glug glug. What's green? You've memorized all these now, right?
Green. I don't think we. Which green? Oh, this is Discover a Spell. This one, isn't it?
Okay.
It actually is. There's two. There's green crystal and green cactus.
Green crystal and green cactus. Okay.
Look, take a mental picture of this, the green cactus, and hopefully we'll see the green crystal.
Okay.
Yeah, Clark's on the deal damage and then 1 damage AoE. With the red pepper, I'm gonna call it. Or the red chili, maybe.
Because undead is the plural of undead, Gooby Gangs. One undead, multiple undead. The same word can be used for both.
Mm-hmm. Like sheep.
Like sheep, exactly. Sheeps. Seen a good amount of PUD so far, right? Like I was expecting to see some, but a lot of people are jamming this ogre package.
I think this is going to be the most, or potentially the most surprising, because we both looked at this yesterday and was like, oh, this is, this looks surprisingly strong. But there's a difference between this, it looks better than we thought it would be, but is it actually going to make the cut, right? Because that is a whole different discussion. It does look decent, though, especially the one that's on board now, the Divine Shield Lifesteal, right? Is
Divine Shield Lifesteal one, yeah. It's like, because the 50-50 on the ogre effect for that is a good thing happens or a slightly better thing happens, as opposed to a good thing happens or a bad thing happens.
Ooh. Pink Bullet. He's refreshed 2 mana crystals. I've not seen that one yet in this game.
What? There's a 0 mana one? You didn't tell me it could cheat mana.
Reno can do everything. It's got a
Reno
bullet
does it
for all
all.
occasions. Glug's on the board though. That's all I'm saying. What are these cards up here? Is this a? Oh, okay. I did not remember what that one was. I'm going for the 1-drop. Poisonous Battle Cry, deal 2. The old 1-drop.
Kapow. Wants to go through everything first and get the damage through, and then use the poisonous battle cry afterwards. Yeah, sure. Okay, choose to push a little bit less damage to preserve 1 extra minion, and then use the battle cry to take care of the glug. Sure.
I wonder if after not seeing the plagues for so long, that Clark's like, did they Finley into these plagues?
Yeah. I think Clark has a pretty good idea that
Um,
there are lots of plagues
Yeah. Oh,
in Regis'
they've
hand
just
right
not
now.
played the 4 cards on the left for like the last 15 turns.
Yes, I wonder if we can solve this equation for X. My opponent is drawing
It is-
0 plagues and has not played
Ooh.
any of the cards in their hand.
Yeah, now that is important when we talk about spell schools. I can't even think about Tumbleweed is nature.
It's
which is
nature,
a big that card is good.
It's really good, yeah.
Yeah.
Really, really good card.
Because a 6/6, it's not like it summons a 3/3, right? Where you're just like, oh, that's okay. It's a 6/6 is significant.
It's both effects of the priest card together for 1 more mana. Like
Yeah.
that's really good.
Yeah, and it's spell schooled for discovers and stuff. Like, it's
Yep.
nice. But there is a Steelhide Maw. And Regis is, I think, running out of good stuff to do. There's still 8 cards in the deck. I'll be honest, I can't even remember what was Finleyed at this point.
Yeah, if this was a Masters Tour, I would have screenshot the hand before it was Finleyed,
Yeah.
but I have not done that. But it was a fairly high quality hand. They were certainly much better cards than these 4 assorted plagues that are actively bad. And Clark is just about running out of stuff again, although we have said that once already, and suddenly Clark managed to get a handful of 10 cards all over again.
Oh, this is more like it. Just hero power the face and go.
Yeah, why not?
There you go. Green stone. Hero power on the bottom versus green
Oh,
cactus.
I see.
Or
Yeah,
green
yeah,
gem
yeah.
or whatever you want to call it. Oh, was that Astalor burn? Oof.
It was Astalor, yeah.
Yikes. 6 cards left versus 1, but... Clark with all the board control right now, and Regis needs something big to happen, and, well, that wasn't it. Lightning Storm isn't really it either. Also, I mean, Fell Bullet, I guess, has to be played, right? Need another Tumbleweed here.
Yeah, you just need infinite tumbleweeds. Okay. Chill cat vibes.
Okay. Finally. This could have happened a long time ago, I think. But okay, we're there now.
I really feel like the play was shoot yourself in the face and play the jail that time.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know what the hero power was. Did we look at what the hero power effect was on that turn?
Draw
Oh,
a
it burned
card.
a card,
Draw a
right?
card,
Yeah, exactly. So, and the hand was full. When you do it first, you'd end up burning a card, which is kind of annoying.
If you guys want to see what the jail is, it's I mean, I guess the cost doesn't overly matter, but it's got 3 charges. It makes a minion go dormant for 3 turns, so you basically lock it away. Really nice, honestly. I think it's because this is 4, right? Yeah, Barrel Brim's a 4 cost.
Yep.
Yeah, this is when it starts to stack.
Bang. 50% chance to hit the wrong enemy. Hit the wrong enemy. It didn't hit the wrong enemy. Hitting the wrong enemy was actually lethal in that instance.
That's what's funny, right? When we were talking about it, because it still hit the wrong enemy, not like the wrong target. Like,
yeah,
you can do things like that. That was very well set
it
up
was
from
lethal
Clark.
anyway.
Oh, nice. That was very well set up from Clark, right? Because that's the sort of things you can do where it's just good. Because you can just mess with the numbers, so to speak. As you can look at us once again while we look for another player.
Like, if you basically take all of the ogre cards that have existed and just put the word rush on them, they'd probably be good cards, right? And that is essentially what the ogre gang is. It's roughly equivalent cards to ogres with 50-50 effects that have existed before, but they each have rush. And I think something that will dawn on people more and more over time is that sometimes it'll be correct to just play them and not attack, just to play a 3-mana 4/4. Yeah.
We'll jump into Meaty on Warlock, so you'll be happy getting to see some more Warlock Sol. Keep your eye on this one.
I'm seeing Warlock, but I'm also seeing Meaty. So, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Yeah. Well, you're more like seeing Warlock and witnessing Meaty play. No camera.
Fair. Hey, what just happened? I was not paying attention.
It was the Soul Seeker. Swap this with a random minion from your opponent's deck. Boom. Not a bad
the
pickup.
Opponent's deck is buffed. The opponent's deck is doubled, and we just start. I mean, Like this is Meaty's life. Like this is how it works.
Not too bad. Very conveniently the perfect amount of damage. Positive trade. Sludges getting thrown left, right, and center. Not bad. Not bad. Look, there is
Kind
the,
of knew
there
Meaty
is the
was going to
bunny
be a
hopper
full
here,
mana
though.
7/7 gamer though.
Shout out to the champ with the bunny
Yeah.
stomper.
What is it? Stomputational chemistry? Is that
Yeah.
what the reference is?
Wow, there's a snapshot in hand for Linny.
Yeah, has a PhD in stomputational chemistry. Gooby Gangs, don't spoil it. That is actually the system. No, it's not.
Okay, trade's gonna come out.
It is Bunny Hopper's world champion card, yes.
Yes,
to
it
the
is.
person in chat asking.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Now we're cooking. Now we are cooking. Face. Raggle deal with the 7/7. Boo. I do actually think the Stomper's really good, by the way. Like, I think that card's dangerous. Oh god.
Rebirth the crush. Yep.
Disgusting. Okay, we'll stick with Meaty so we can see a full game here. But now I kind of want to jump over to this Hunter later on, maybe again, just to see more of that.
I mean, honestly, deserved loss. Like, if one player plays a King Crush and uses it as King Rush, and then the other person copies the King Rush and turns it back into King Crush, deserved victory.
Honestly, I think if they went face with the King Crush, Reverberations just wouldn't have worked against it.
That's right,
The Innkeeper goes, whoa, 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 whoa. Nope. They were an honorable King Crush. You do not get to mimic this.
That person gets to lock out their opponent's hand just by merit of being sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, rematch. Okay, we can get both of my wishes here. More Warlock and more Hunter.
Yeah, every world champion gets a reference of some regard in the game. Not necessarily a card named after them. It might be flavor text. It might be in card art somewhere, but they've all got something.
Wow, honestly, I've never really just sat and looked at Disposal Assistant and at how good of a card it is. I feel like that card should not be a 3/2.
Or it should not have both keywords.
Yes, yeah. You know, something should change.
Yeah.
Someone's overprinted the text on this card. They're gonna get it out nice and early. Get that stacked up. A lot of excavate as well, a quad excavate in the hand for Meaty. Very dangerous. And honestly, I did smile, Sol, when we were checking out. Was it Rekvan that was playing the bounce? Who was it that was playing the?
Yeah, it was Rekvan.
And you were I could tell in your voice how happy you were. You were like, even typing.
I wasn't
actually, you were
casting.
typing.
I
You were
was in
typing.
chat.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Because you were just like, you were talking about it with Lorinda, weren't you? You talk about the deck with Lorinda, I think.
Oh yeah. Afterwards,
And it was just like, that is such a subtle deck because it's gonna make people rage and he's gonna giggle while he's doing it.
Yep.
I can tell, like, straight away.
Yup.
I mean, Reno?
May I suggest Reno?
Could I interest you in? I guess the problem is whether it's playable, right? I'm also wondering how often, because I can see it being often, that like Reno just gets played, whether just for the hero power change, right? Because the hero power is strong enough, isn't it? You know, as in if the ability doesn't proc because you've got duplicates in the deck somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, I think the hero power is just good enough. Obviously, you don't want to play it and then die next turn. That's not the plan. But I think just to swap over the hero power. Because there were times when, like, you know you're never really going to get rid of these duplicates in the deck. So
Right.
just play Reno and use this hero power because it's that strong.
Actually playing Messenger Buzzards. Okay. Something that I did wonder about. You did mention earlier, there is a sprinkling of hand buff going on with the Hunter set in this expansion. Something I didn't necessarily consider when evaluating Warlock minions with this set is, like, I was looking at this, 4/5 Excavator Treasure, and people were saying, oh, it's good. It's a better Senjin with Excavate. And I sort of try and make the argument that, like, yes, but if Senjin was a card in the game right now, we would all point and laugh at it. We would bully that card until it went home crying to its parents, right? Like, that's just not even close to a playable card these days. So I'm like, 4/5 Taunt, sure, it's okay. But we are in the Forge location class, right? So every minion that you can play that costs more than 3...
It's
you
kind of
might
two.
just be able to get a copy with Rush on board at the same
Yeah.
time, right? So it does make them a little bit better overall. Don't deface me, chat. You know you'd bully Tazdingo.
Well, Messenger Buzzard is going to be kicking out here. These bananas getting used on not something you really want to use on in this deck, I imagine, right? There are a lot of other things that get benefits from being buffed. Mainly the legendary, which has now just gone out of my head, is the name of the card. What's the snake called? The only card I can remember that's got a snake is Gatling. Gattle Snake, sorry.
Spurfang?
Oh, yeah.
Or Spurs fan, as I'm going to be calling
Spurs
it for
fan,
the rest of the expansion. Yeah. Every time I kill one of my opponents, it's going to be a Spurs fan. That is needlessly threatening. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, jeez, I apologize to any Spur fans in the chat. You are safe.
It's not that deep. Please do not take football tribalism that deeply at any point. It doesn't matter.
Subtle now symbolizing everything wrong with football.
Yes, correct. Yeah, you are absolutely correct.
On the other hand here, though, I'm going to see if Linny can pile on the pressure. I mean, the pressure's kind of there, right? There's a lot of follow-up here, and we saw what Thunderbringer could do in the previous matchup between these two players. The old smokestack your own minion. Perfect.
Absolute smoke show.
So what do we have here? Azurite Gem, and then, of course, a Snake.
Snake.
I love...
Yeah, no delay, Mithrix. There's nothing on the line here, so there's no reason to delay the stream, right? It's not like stream sniping is going to be an issue.
We're all just hanging out, playing the game.
We're live, pal.
Relaxed atmosphere, yeah. I love that this legendary excavated warlock card, the Azurite Snake. Yeah, we're done. We're not going to bother calling things cobras or anything like that, or vipers or anything. Snake. It is what it is.
Please quickly explain Tottenham for NA. So I think New York has multiple teams for the same sports, right? The bad one, whichever one in New York is significantly worse than the other one, that's Tottenham. The one that everyone makes fun of and has an inferiority complex because the other team right next to them is just infinitely better and more successful. That's Tottenham.
Unless you are a fan of them and then flip it.
No, because one of those is objectively true, though. That's the thing.
When has the truth ever mattered, Sol?
I mean,
Let's
fair,
be
yeah,
honest.
not in football. Yeah.
Oh, good old Ziliax. 5-drop for 0 with the Azurite. Oh my goodness. Well, this is ridiculous. And also a bit of a problem. What do we have here in hand? Got the bow. Oh, Ragnaros is already there. Do you think there are other elementals, Sol, that aren't Ragnaros in the deck?
Which other ones would you play?
I don't even think I can name another elemental, if I'm being honest. So.
Like any?
Yeah, I just don't. That you can put in Hunter.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Are the excavated cards free? No, it's just some of them are cheaper than others, and some of them create free cards.
Thingy, Thunderbringer. Thunderbringer is a elemental.
Wait, yeah, but I'm on
beast.
about for Thunderbringer to pull.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that was the- yeah.
Then Neptulon, maybe?
Oh, sure. Yeah, good old Neptulon. All right.
Yeah.
Good job, Chet. I see you got there first, and Saul's just trying to take credit. Got my eye on it.
Oh, I actually just searched Elemental in the card library. It would have probably been quicker to just steal it from chat, but I did just search it instead.
Good old theft.
The secret ingredient is crime.
Why did I think of this first? Either way, that is 1 million damage and 10 stolen from Les Snake. So yeah, wow. Warlock looking dangerous, I would say. At least for now.
So I think I'll be tapping out now. I'm not sure. I haven't been paying attention to what's going on in our chat. Am I?
Sure.
That is correct.
Oh, hello. Hi, how's it going?
This is
Hello.
perfect.
Goodbye, Saddle.
I'm fine. Should be like that. I guess I'll just leave. Bye, chat. Talk to you soon.
Welcome back, Edelweiss. How have you been enjoying it?
Flood deck. So I played Warlock, basically.
Have you been
tried
jamming
out
on your
some-
break?
Yeah.
Nice.
That's how it goes, right? And both Warlock decks feel pretty good. I don't know about combining them like this, which it appears Meaty is doing, but certainly Forge of Wills plus Waste Remover is great. And I've got the Savage Imajar in there as well for the sludge version, right? Because discarding 2 cards if you're discarding sludges is perfectly fine, and 7/7 rush is good.
Yeah, it's Warlock's definitely been looking maybe the most immediately just good, right? Of just like these cards work. Okay. Oh, Vins, we couldn't spec Vins for some reason. I do apologize, chat. We can stick around for one more game with me to see more of this Warlock and see how it plays out, and then we will jump across. Again, just a reminder in chat, if any of you have any specific player that you may have seen playing something you like the look of, reminder, all of these players are streaming, so go into the Hearthstone category, browse it, take a look around, see if there's any favorites, make sure to check them out, give them some support, chuck them some follows, and so on, because they're all streaming, they're all having a good time, I think, and yeah, just let us know if there's anything specific you want to check out, because we can hop across to whatever. But yeah, for now, looking at this Warlock, and yeah, so Warlock looks good. Are any other classes really stood out for you personally as well? Not even power level, but is there anything that you've seen that you think, you know what, I cannot wait to try that?
Yeah, well, certainly Reno just as a card.
Yeah,
is
just in general.
pretty insane. I don't know which Highlander decks are going to sort of win out in the end on that, but Reno is absolutely powerful, and I almost wonder if so much so that certain decks that maybe just turbo draw but aren't Highlander might just run it as well, because if you thin your deck out enough to the point that there's no duplicates, that works out also.
That is kind of interesting, because even like this style of Warlock, right, draws, or at least something surrounding this Warlock style draws very quickly, doesn't it? So maybe that's some...
or it gets rid of its deck very quickly. Anyway, whether you're drawing. I don't know.
It doesn't have cards left very quickly, so maybe that's definitely something to consider, right? I didn't even think about that till you mentioned it. I definitely was in the mindset of, I think, most people where Reno, Highlander, go. But yeah, we've seen things like that in the past, or even just decks that run a few 2-ofs, right? Not even like all 2-ofs decks with Reno in it, but just, this is a Reno deck, but I run 2 of these and 2 of those, sort of thing, because you're going to draw them by the time we get there.
Right, exactly.
Kibblers on Warrior. Have we seen a lot of? We've not seen we've seen Warrior a little bit, but we can jump over to Kibbler if he's on Warrior by the time this game's over, for sure.
Oh, this is clever. Using the reverb to make the copy vulnerable, and then you can still rush in with, or not rush in, but attack with the one that dies. Or are we gonna keep it unpopped just in case of a board clear? Yeah. So I think
strong.
there must just not be sludges in this deck. I think Meaty's just playing the 4-mana 7/7, burning cards from the bottom of the deck for
it's a 4-mana 7/7.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hop back to us a second as we jump over to Mixer. Yeah, okay, I did manage to fix things. Let's see what Kibbler's up to then. Good old Kibbler. I ran into Kibbler. Like, listen to this. Wait, you were at BlizzCon all weekend, right?
Yes.
Because I bumped into Kibbler. Oh, sorry about that. But heading into... Okay, Kibbler's getting into a game, so as soon as he's in, we'll jump. But I bumped into Kibbler at the start to like watch the opening ceremony. I was like, oh hey mate, long time no see, blah blah blah. And he was like, yeah, I'm here. I said, you here all weekend? He said, no, I'm here. I'm going to stream. So he streamed from BlizzCon and so on. But when I'm done, I've got to shoot. I've got something to do. I was like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, I'm going LARPing. I was like, of course you are, Kibler.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
anyone who follows him knows. So yeah, he had a busy weekend. Like straight to BlizzCon, saw all
Yeah,
that,
very
streamed,
involved.
boom, straight to LARPing and hitting people with foam swords. That is the kind of limit of LARPing that I know. So if I'm wrong, I apologize. But we are going to be jumping into this. Kibler is still on Warrior, fantastic. Going up against Dragon Rider, okay, on Hunter. Hey, I'm always happy when we get this. So yeah, there we go. Let's see what type of Warrior.
Oh, Tuning Fork makes me think this is the Taunt Menagerie kind of deal. Yeah.
Yes. This hand makes me believe that is also true. Yeah.
But if you can get the +2 attack, get down a turn 2 Corsair, that's pretty nice. But the weapon you're really looking to get is the new one, 3 mana, 4 attack, 1 durability, Battle Pickaxe. After you play a taunt minion, gain 1 durability, and that can seriously add up over time.
And this will be very interesting because I would assume from Double Sneaky Snakes that this is not a Reno Hunter, sorry. So if this is more
No.
standard sort of hand buff minion go hunter sort of thing, or even spell damage. Actually, looking at this hand now, I do wonder how it's going to fare versus all of these taunts because that's a lot of walls to get through, and if you can't really guarantee the value, you've really got to hope the burn damage is there.
Yeah, and it is Warrior, so you always have to contend with that +2 armor hero power, but maybe if Kibler doesn't find enough weapons, right, and can't reduce this like abyssal basis, which could really shut things down, Dragon Rider will be able to sort of get under the deck. I wonder, based on like the snakes and those 4 ones, if there's some elements of the like, what is that? 2 mana spell that gives your hand, deck, and battlefield +1 attack, something along those lines.
Yeah,
But maybe they're just there for efficient turn 1.
Yeah, I think they're just. I think it's just a good card. Honestly, I was talking to them about to Salt and Lorinda about this yesterday, where I think you just play this in almost every list because it's just good. Like it gives you options, but just having that available for one card's really strong.
Absolutely, and Hunter just has so much versatility now in terms of the cards available to it that you can sort of play around with a ton of different builds, whether it's Arcane or Secret, or maybe with some of these new cards we do get that like low to the ground, just lots of minions deck that wasn't quite there before this, but maybe there's enough tools now. And now there's Highlander Hunter.
Yeah. I actually can't wait because like when Highlander Hunter was good, quite a while back now, it was like the top hunter list easily. I really enjoyed it, so I'm looking forward to sort of dipping my toe back in that water again. But here you see the confidence that Kibler has with these taunt walls because he just face tanked a 4/1 with a 4 damage weapon. So yeah, he said, you know what, my taunt wall is going to be good right now, and you know what, it's looking good.
Well, and now we understand. I wondered what the Steam Guardian was for. This is the classic double Steam Guardian single spell, and that is Black Rock and Roll. So no other spells in the deck. You're guaranteed to draw this and reduce its cost to 4. Give that massive stat boost to everything in your deck.
Yeah, that's a huge deal. And even though Kibler's on 18, there actually isn't that much pressure. But this is a card. I'm so glad we get to see it because it was one I was genuinely wondering about where I'm a simple person. I see a card that says draw in Hunter and I think it's good automatically. But we are seeing the 10-gallon hat come out to play. And I think this has been really nice so far, drawing 2 key pieces of this Arcane Hunter already. And while still buffing it and knowing that, oh, it comes back to hand, draw it again, draw again, draw again. So I think this is a really, really strong card. And even though I was thinking of what it looks like in more of a beast style or even, Reno or whatever, then I didn't really think about the power of drawing minions in Arcane Hunter. But if you actually think about the minions, they're all really, really powerful. So like, maybe Tengan Hat's going to find its home here.
And there's not that many of them, right? So
Exactly, yeah.
while you could have that density and minions that really care about getting the +1/+1 buff. Things like, say, if you did have the chain gang in there, just having it to specifically hit your Forest Riders, your Agrimar, Haldoran, all these key minions could really play a big role.
But that's a whole lot of taunts in the way still. And
Look
there's
at that,
more where
that
that
star
came
power.
from. Yeah, oh, star power would just delete this board. I don't even count star power. I just know it kills everything. That's all the card does. It doesn't even need a number on it as far as I'm concerned. It just kills the board. The problem here is, if this is Agrimard, does it have to be like plus attack? Oh no, will it be taunt and use the snake to make a trade, I guess?
Yeah, you could do that. Make a taunt, use the snake and your face to trade, use 3/4 to kill the pirate. I kind of could go either way on that versus the
Immune.
+2 attack and immune, just because you are starting to take some damage here.
Yeah, I think 2 taunts over time might add up to more health than immune, and 1 taunt the turn after, I guess, is probably what Dragon Riders thought about here, is actually just getting the 2 minions on board is better than just saving some health, because it's not like, I don't think Dragon Riders expecting Kibler to be able to, like, burst damage, right, out of nowhere.
Right.
Pretty much what you see is what you get in this deck, I would say, most of the time at least. So as long as you're not dead to this board, Dragon Rider will know that they're kind of safe going forward.
Yeah, but she is going to have to deal with a lot of stats over the course of this game. And I think the timing is really going to depend on how soon these Abyssal bases start coming down to really gain Kibler some of that life, because 18, not exactly safe against some of the damage that an Arcane Hunter can put out, but both of them are still sort of trying to set up, right? Kibler hasn't had the chance to play Black Rock and Roll yet. Dragon Rider's just now doing this big card draw turn. There's the star powers, though.
There it is. 1 million. Just watch this. Just clear the board. Doesn't matter what the board is. Yep. Doesn't matter. It always clears. And now,
once you add that 6 on, especially,
oh
like,
yeah,
just nothing makes it.
It's a whole extra layer of busted.
Yeah, I think this is really coming down to the fact that Kibler never found another weapon to reduce these bases, and so they're just been awkward in hand here.
Yeah, we can try and catch up with someone playing Mage, guys. I do see you requesting it in the chat. But the problem with the slight issue is the priests we have spectated have been very long games. So I think we get the idea with priests a little bit. Of course, there's plenty of time, though. Guys, we're not even halfway through the day of streaming, right? There is plenty of time to check everything out, because there's I believe there's like a new wave of streamers coming in soon as well, like the crowd number 2 are going to be going live soon. So yeah, there's plenty more Hearthstone where that comes from.
And always uncertain in theory crafting whether this was intentional, just playing the new card just to see animation effects or whatever. But that is Kibler has found the lethal where the hero power was not pressed, so gonna take the way out. Players have been asked generally not to hit the concede button, just in case people are trying to do a fun, interesting thing.
Yeah.
But I think if you can take the honorable seppuku,
You do it. You do it.
it's kind of a way around it.
Yeah, and just to clear some things up, if people have just joined, basically what we're doing here, this is like the central hub for the theory crafting streams that are going on all across the category, across many, many content creators. So if you go onto the Hearthstone category, hang on, let's go into us for a second while Kibble's making a deck. If you go into the Hearthstone category, you'll see all of these people streaming. So by all means, if you see a deck you like or a style you like, go and check them out, give them a follow, give them some support. But yeah, this is the central hub where basically us casters sit around, watch these people theory craft and play out their matches and craft cool decks with the new cards, and just talk and see what's going on and sort of find out what the players have in their minds, because we have some great deck builders, we have some high level players, we have some great content creators, as you were mentioning, Advice, where the players are generally told to like play out the games because they'll be recording videos, they'll be recording like cool moments and stuff. And like if you see, oh, my opponent played a 4-drop that's going to beat me in 5 turns, I'll just leave. That's no fun for that content anyway. So, oh, Alistra's is playing Mage. Okay, we can check in. Have we even seen a Mage on stream yet? I don't
We've
think
actually
so.
seen a pretty limited number of classes, all things
Yeah.
considered.
I think a
people
lot of
have
people are
kind of
drawn to certain things. I was saying, like,
Yeah,
Dragon
yeah.
Druid is a very easy stepping point, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, Ali is on Mage. Let's dive right in. Let me just get the other spectator. Oh, facing
And
Yagut.
I was going to say, is this a secret mage? But then I remembered that one of the mage excavate payoff cards that is in play right now gives you 2 random secrets
Yes.
just into play. So if you've excavated twice, you get 2 random secrets. Mage, I feel like, a decent excavate reward on tier 4, but some of the worst actual excavate cards to play. I'm not in love with this payoff of the 2 random secrets, or particularly with that being one of the 2 secrets, or the actual excavate things you need to play. There's 2 mana freeze an enemy. At least you can freeze face, but still 2 mana for a freeze excavate, and then, gosh, I don't even remember the other excavate card for mage.
The other one is the 6 mana 4/4. Deal 1 damage
Right.
times the amount of cards in your hand. So for every card in your hand, deal 1 damage to an enemy, I think is the actual phrase.
Right.
But that's interesting.
Can go face.
It can go
so-
face, yeah. Enemy, not minion, yeah. I actually like the 3/5. I think that's the best card in the whole excavate package, funnily enough.
Really?
Yeah, I just think it's 4 mana, right? Let me check. Yeah, a 4 mana 3/5 that just gets 2 secrets. Yes, we can discuss how difficult getting the excavates are first, of course. But I think like for the body and for the getting 2 random secrets with the secret package Mage has right now, I think that's pretty good. Is it good enough to play excavate in Mage? I don't know, but I think the card in isolation is decent.
Yeah, I suppose. I guess I'm just thinking you're not getting to play it on curve terribly often because one of the mage excavate cards is 6,
Right.
and then one of the neutral ones is 5. So it's really just the 2 mana freeze and the 2 mana 1/1 that you can play before turn 4. And so getting 2 excavates before turn 4 can be
That's
little
fair.
challenging.
Yeah, that is definitely fair. Here, though, a ton of removal available for Alistraza on the bottom there, with Blizzard, the star power in there as well. Arguably the Flipper friends too, those little otters. Yeah, this is.
Although no board space for them right now.
I think Sol will be happy if he's watching here, as we finally see a rogue player playing Draka instead of the Wishing Well. Although there is a Wishing Well in hand anyway, so I guess you can play one of each or both. But yeah, having those generating X amount of coins and then popping off with Draka, I think is something we're going to be seeing at least in the first week or so of the launch, because Rogue is just good as it is, and now you can just sort of force a big Draka again, which means, yeah, big damage.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things you can think about with including the well is if you miss on Draka, it at least gives you something else to spend the coins on. I suppose there's also the fringe scenario where you just have enough coins and other mana cheat that maybe you're able to play the Wishing Well and then spend all your coins, save the 1 mana legendaries in hand, and play the Draka and have the legendaries for like refill or whatever, depending on what they do.
I think that'll be the interesting thing that I'll leave up to people like Yagut, like Casey, and so on, is how you build the rogue so that you probably don't have to go all in on coins, but like what's the right amount, I think, is always the question, isn't it? Like, how far do you lean into this? Because if you go too far, your deck becomes a bit of a meme and doesn't work half the time. But if you don't go far enough, then there's no point running those payoff cards, right? So I think that's going to be pretty interesting. But either way, Alistraza said, nope, this is too much, and pushes Yagut out of the game. Draka not going to be good enough. And I think we'll stick with Alistraza again to see a full game from start to finish with this mage, because we have been, as you said, starved from some of the classes a little bit.
Yeah, Mage is just kind of filled with value when you go the Excavate route. I suppose that's part of why their 6-mana card does this damage based on cards in hand. I have to say that in Arena is spectacular, as well as the new 10-mana card, deal 10 damage randomly amongst
Oh,
enemies
yeah,
and
yeah.
summon a random 10 drop. That can do some pretty serious work.
Ooh. And just as we were seeing, not seeing much Mage, we've got Alistraza versus Danehearth, and wait, is Dane? Where am I going up here? Is Dane not on my list?
He's invisible.
Oh, okay.
He's hiding. Oh no, there he was. I saw him just now.
I don't. Did you?
There. Yeah, it's.
Wait, why can't I?
Keep moving it.
Okay, let me leave quickly. I apologize. Let me leave and see if I can respec. Because I wouldn't let me spectate his hand. Funny enough. So let me try. Let me try again. Apologies, guys. We're working on it.
I do think that Mage actually got a lot in terms of neutrals as well, both in terms of the 2/2 that gives you a Snake Oil and the 2/1 that gives you a Sludge, because those are both perfect for Sif Mage. And so there's a world where maybe you just go even more all in on winning with Sif and don't run the 7-mana summon a bunch of 4/5s and just like turbo to that high number of spell schools played. And now you've got a 0-mana spell to take advantage of with Sif.
That was the first thing I think Lorinda said, which was, this Snake Oil, you trade it and keep cycling it to just get different cards, whatever. And it's like, well, hang on a minute, what if we just kill them with it? because it does something in Sif. So yeah, I think that's going to be very interesting if that's going to be the play. Honestly, for me, the card I can't make my mind up the most of whether it's going to be, because I feel like it's going to be one of the most common cards or it will never get played, which is this guy, this little Kobold Miner. Because it seems really weak. Oh, it's a 2-mana 1/1, but it excavates and it's a cheap excavation, right? That's the key. Right. It only costs 2. So I do wonder if this is going to be, I could see this one going the extremes of either way, either played in tons and tons of decks or just never included at all.
I think certain decks in particular are definitely going to be interested where, Rogue can Shadow Step it and play it again for 0. That's obviously great. Warlock, if you have all those Brewmasters, it is one of the few things that you can actually Brewmaster for another Excavate in a pinch. And it seems like things are maybe sort of slowing down a little bit. So perhaps a 2-mana 1/1 just isn't that bad. And when you consider that usually the 1-cost thing you're getting is pretty high tempo to make up for it.
Right.
Of course, nothing is as high tempo as Keyboard on 2. So
we had enough of this in the Masters tour. A lot of pressure can be put out here from Alistraza. I'm going to choose to... That's interesting. I was looking at what just Forge Molten Ruin does here. But again, it's different where, like, I'm trying not to look at it in the mindset of what is strictly the most powerful play. Whereas I think a lot of these players will be like, what's the coolest thing I can do? Which definitely makes for an interesting difference between casting, like, tournament matches when there's a lot of stakes on the line.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so much changing constantly with the Excavate cards because they're random. You have no idea what you're going to get. No discovers or anything. So, you may think you're going to be doing one thing and then you excavate something cool and you're like, all right, well, let's shift over to this. There's that Blast Mage we've been talking about. Deals damage equal cards in hand and pretty good clear, all things considered.
Yeah, I think this was the issue that Sottle raised. Because I said I don't mind this card. I quite like it. But I guess the problem here is it didn't clear and it was coined out, right? Like, that's the issue. But for me, I just wonder if it's ever a necessary evil. Because now, as we can see, the Azurite Hawk's in hand for Danehearth. So suddenly, is the payoff worth the pain, right? We are going to see Norganon just blast it away anyway, as Alistraza continues to pile on pressure. But what is the Hawk going to do?
And I think that's a Diamond Rag in the hand for Danehearth.
Correct.
So That suggests to me that probably the only two elementals in the deck are Ragnaros and Neptulon. Given the Mage Legendary Elemental, 6 mana, 6/5, draw an elemental from your deck and split it in half, which gives you
2/4/4
two versions.
rags.
Right. Yeah, 2/4/4 Rags, or a 3/3 Neptulon and a 4/4 Neptulon, but both will still summon the arms. So lots of possibilities there.
Yeah, unfortunately for Dane Hearth, not the best creation from the Hawk with Kazgorath.
It's okay. You know, it's not.
There's better though, isn't there? Let's be honest. There's a lot better.
Yeah.
Oh, the canary. I love this. Look at it. I need this artwork. Whoever drew
Canary in the
this,
coal mine.
yeah, look at it. It looks so cool.
Sitting on the lantern. Yeah.
Just its hat though.
Excellent.
Its hat makes it. Oh, it's so good. And it's just a good card. It's just sap on a stick. Probably not the best for the Azerite Hawk to target, but still.
Don't want to give a re-roll on the Titan.
Yeah, you know what? Go again. Saying that, how many cards are in hand? Oh, it would actually just kill it. Yeah, this is good actually. I didn't realize there was 10. I just looked again and was like, hang on a minute, this just kills it. Sounds good. 2 mana killer thing. Oh, and there's Neptulon as well. So yeah, you are right. Good observation there. Ragnaros, Neptulon. If it's very similar to the oh, what's the other thing? The horse that we saw in the Hunter game earlier. Well, you might not have, but me and Saul did. Where it summons a beast and an elemental.
Right.
And
Yeah,
again,
Thunderbringer?
yeah, that's it. Yeah, and it's like Ragnaros and Neptulon are very likely to be the elementals that players put in their decks for that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Mage, unfortunately, doesn't have any real beast to throw in there if you wanted to, also include Thunderbringer. And there would be the awkward draws where you have Thunderbringer pull the Mage Legendary and not get to do that splitting. But in terms of elementals discovered, that's a Vexilus. I don't know if Dane has any arcane spells to really utilize with it. But
Yeah, just want to highlight as well, so I'm showing the secrets as requested. Azerite Vein is the new one. So when an enemy plays a card on the turn that it entered their hand, get a copy that costs 0. This could be the card they just drew on their turn. It could be a card they've generated on their turn, and so on, so on. So although not the strongest secret in isolation, I think it's one of those ones where it existing creates weird mind games for your opponent, right? Especially when it comes from a random, like from a researcher, where it's like, well, hang on a minute. If I just top deck the best card ever, or I've generated a great card to play, do I play it? Because if it's a high cost and your opponent gets one for 0, that's a big deal.
yeah, and it reminds me of when Plagiarize was in, and you wouldn't necessarily run it in a secret rogue, but it would come up off of Hanar.
Right.
And so you still would have to play around this rogue secret of like, well, this is really good, but do I really want to give my opponent one? And in this case, it costing 0.
I think the very simple fact, especially for players, if it's like me, is the more I have to think about playing around secrets, the more I hate my turn. So if it does that right, if there's more things that make your opponent have to think, it's probably more likely they're going to mess up. So that's my approach to stuff like this.
That's fair. It's definitely fair.
Extra secrets. No, I will do my job. Counterspell and objection. So basically, Dane's not allowed to do anything.
He has to kind of give up this Vexilus to do anything he actually wants to do.
It would be interesting there, and I don't know this, if that Vexilus was drawn that turn, Alistraza would get a copy, and then it would get objectioned, I imagine. Right?
I would think so, based on
I just assume it's
the
play order.
timestamp at the very least, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's what I would assume, but of course we'll see it.
So Dane has played the other Mage Legendary, besides the one that draws elementals, Tathalan, I believe, who reduces your generated cards by 4 mana.
Cards that didn't start in your deck costs 4 less, but no less than 1.
Right.
The old caveat.
Which is why I think Energy Shaper is in this deck. And so gonna make some attacks here and then play this Jive Insect. Is gonna get counterspelled. I'm not sure if that's really the one Dane wanted to get countered, as lines up nicely here. But Molten Rune is just gonna seal the deal along with this Arcane Worm.
Yeah, the rope
Or
pressure plus
Tiger
thinking
Ping.
thinking of the amount of secrets you have to play around. Got
Yeah.
to him. Alistraza does it again.
Yeah, and so you might be right. Just the fact that playing around random secrets is a huge pain could end up being a bit of an edge for some kind of value excavate mage. Though I'm not convinced that we're not just going to see only Sif mages once things actually come out.
Yeah. Let's see if I might see if I'm just trying to have a quick look who's playing what. Because this is great. I can just look at people's streams and see what class they're playing and be like, that'll do. So we're gonna go check in, I believe, with Ruffle, and because I think they're on this this warrior again. Oh, it's a warrior mirror. Ruffle versus Bunny Hopper. Okay. Let's just see a little bit more of this. I know there were some requests earlier to see a little bit more warrior. So
And we see this weapon that potentially is just never ending once you get it going. I think it'll be tricky to find like the right balance when you do have a weapon that potentially just goes on forever. But you also want to play more weapons for Abyssal Basist.
right. It's one of those good ones where you use it till you don't need it anymore, I guess, is the general plan, right? You just keep it going until you can swap out into something that's either an improvement or you need to, as you said, do that reduction.
Blast
Very nice.
Tortoise coming
Yeah.
out for the solid clear.
Yeah, if you guys have any requests for any specific streamers to check in on, just put it in the chat. I do have chat open. I will be looking at it. Of course, we're not going to be hopping to different players every 5 seconds, but if you've got anything you really want to see, I'll keep my eye on stuff. I'm trying to just give you guys a nice selection of not only classes and decks, but also players as well, right? We want to feature as many different players as possible.
Oh, Armageddillo. I'm so happy that this is in core and might actually see play. It's one of those cards that I really loved it when it first came out, but it didn't have a home. And this feels like the first time that a Taunt Warrior might actually be able to do something. Honestly, in no small part because of the Blast Tortoise.
It was played for a while, right? It was played, because I remember casting it loads in GM. It was played for a while. I can't remember what deck it was in. It wasn't the Elysiana deck, was it? I can't remember.
Oh, you're saying a long time ago.
Oh, yeah, this was a long time ago, yes. This was, when I was casting GM, so it was quite a while back. But yeah, it was it was played at one point. But yeah, definitely cool to see it back.
Might or magic, I'll withstand it all.
Want to see some Shaman?
Another
We'll have to try to
Blast
find Shaman
Tortoise.
for you.
Yeah. Yeah, Blast Tortoise just feels like one of those things that is sort of like what makes this kind of deck possible, because often, you sacrifice a lot of early game to work on this whole building up the stats on your cards. And so having a way of just making a big comeback later on once you have buffed up the Blast Tortoise, just getting a real payoff there is going to be very, very nice.
Mm-hmm. Look, chat, I'm going to be honest. I'm really trying to find you a Shaman, and I cannot. I cannot see a single play. We did see some Highlander Shaman earlier on stream. So the Shaman has been on. Oh, there's one. Okay, I found one. If they stay on Shaman, we'll jump over to this next game.
I mean, it's one of those classes, I feel like, that is a little more awkward, a little less popular. And so, there's some people that just really, really enjoy it and play it a bunch, but it can be a bit more unusual. And I think this is the first time it's been one of the Highlander supported classes. This is what the warrior mirror is going to be like.
Well,
just jamming stats against each other.
Well, this is where I think it'll actually, if this style of warrior becomes a thing or becomes popular, this is where it'll evolve, right? Because this can't be what it'll come down to, because someone will just, lean one way, right? And then start to, oh, well, what wins the mirror? What do I have to change to beat the mirror? Because if it's just keep playing stats until someone falls over, normally people then find ways to get out of that, right? Whether it's, for example, different AoEs, silence, there's options here to actually beat the board that isn't just Blast Turtle, for example. So I wonder, that will evolve as time goes on, and obviously when more people get hold of the game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember when, what was it? People were playing the token taunt druid mirror, and everyone thought it had to be played a certain way, and then
when no one attacked or played anything ever. That was really fun to cast. I was casting Master's Tour when that happened, and that was it's like, oh, are they gonna play something this turn? Nope. Okay, next. Oh, okay, I see word from Brandon in the chat that Judge is playing a Demon Hunter, which we've not really seen.
It's true. I thought there would be a few more people playing Demon Hunter. I think people were excited about some of the Naga cards, particularly the one that alternates between Naga and spell dealing damage.
Yeah, I'll be honest, for me, personally, Demon Hunter has never been a class that I've been like, oh, I can't wait to play Demon Hunter. But I think that's more of just like I said, a personal choice as opposed to, because Demon Hunter's been really strong and really fun a lot of the time. But for me, it's just a class that never really sticks out. I think I prefer casting Demon Hunter than I do playing it, which sounds really stupid. But it's true, because when you've got to cast some of the players I've got to cast that play Demon Hunter, the likes of Bly's, Gabby, doing stupid OTKs from oh, my opponent's on 25 health and I've got 2 cards in hand, next minute they're dead. And you're like, right, okay, I don't know you did that. So that's been super fun. I generally think I enjoy casting that class more than playing it. Maybe just because I'm not good enough to play it well most of the time.
It's got a sort of weird mixture of stuff going on in terms of, it's like a little roguey, but, can go into the late game with relics and stuff as well. It's got more healing than Rogue does, certainly, since lifesteal is in its class. But yeah, I think it's just got sort of so much going on that it gets a little weird to play at times.
Oh, someone asked what the 7/7 did. Well, there you go. It's a Boom Blast Thorgrun. 8 mana 7/7, shovel 3 TNT into your deck. When drawn, blow up a card in the enemy hand, deck, and battlefield. We did see it proc just then on the other side, but it's interesting enough is it's shuffled into your deck, which is a rarity, I feel, for these type of effects. Normally it's shuffling to your opponents, but maybe that would have been a bit too much against Reno, potentially, right? Was the idea?
Yeah, I think that, and also this way, if you do have a focus on drawing a bunch of cards, you can kind of benefit from drawing these TNT and blowing up stuff on your opponent's side of the board. It's not reliable, so I don't know how much we'll be seeing it, just because you can't plan out when you get to blow up something on their side. But maybe if you're in a deck that just draws a lot of cards, it's worth it. Who's to say?
Yeah, and also just so you guys know, I think Lorinda's going to be dropping some more codes in the chat. I don't think there's anything too crazy going on with these codes. Lorinda's not performing any riddles at the moment. I think that's more when he's on the mic, when he can tell you guys the rules of this. but I do think he is going to drop some in the chat, so get ready. Go to Battle.net, go into your profile picture on the top right, click on it, and there should be drop down, and it'll say redeem code. That's where you want to put the code in, so get ready to go. These are, I believe, the mega bundles. Codes for those that Lorinda's going to be dropping in. So get ready. That's your warning. Keep an eye on chat. It will be from Lorinda, who's typed and has the VIP badge next to his name. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. And I've already forgot it was Judge that was on Demon Hunter. There we go. I've just the names just reminded me. So yeah, just get ready in the chat. We are just be throwing them in again. This is the way we are going to be doing giveaways. We are going to be trying to mix it up a little bit, but yeah, we do have some slight limitations on what we can do because although I have control of the stream, I do not have control of the Twitch channel. I'm not that trusted yet. As we get into this game, Judge is going to be on this Demon Hunter going against Kibler, still on the Warrior. So let me just get Kibler's. Spectate. There we go. So yeah, Demon Hunter at last, otherwise.
Yeah, and we get to see. Oh, that's a little unfortunate. Not going to be able to make use of the reduction here. But yeah, this is that sharpshooter that just alternates, Naga spell, except instead of refreshing mana, so it's a little more limited, but it does damage. So.
Oh wow! Did you guys actually get them? Eye Mowing and Squeezely. I think you two were the two that got them. So congratulations if that's the case and you're not just memeing. Great job. Great job. We have more codes, guys. We're streaming for another, I think, 4 hours roughly. So there's plenty of time. Don't you worry. Sorry for cutting you off there. Otherwise, I got excited about people winning codes.
No, you're good. This is the thing about this 1/5 is like 3 mana 1/5 is actually pretty challenging to clear this early on, and since it's dealing damage, pretty much every time the Demon Hunter is going to have cleared your board. So now it's just kind of like this extra value that happens as you're just sort of playing stuff, and I love this new Naga, not just for this deck, but kind of in all kinds of decks. Just the next time you draw a spell, get a copy of it. Not a card I've heard people talk about much, but it seems like it has a lot of high potential. Yeah,
it's so strong, and I think it's always something I keep an eye out for now, where it's the next time, not this turn or whatever. It's just active until it happens, right? Which is really, really strong. And for the 1/5, it's the same. I think of it. I'm looking forward to trying Gattlesnake. And seeing how that works, because at worst I think it's 1/5, right? And it just like shoots 2 bullets, but then every turn it loads 2 more. And I'm really looking forward to trying that out as well, because I think it might just be sticky enough.
Yeah, that's definitely one I've had my eye on for some kind of aggressive hunter decks, right, where you're buffing the attack of minions. Just if it sticks around 2 turns, firing 4 bullets, like
great.
That's pretty solid.
Well, it's the fact that like the thing like it loads into 100% of the time, right? So like it's at worst it deals 2, and especially like in Hunter, right? If you can buff it, it's pretty nice. But yeah, Naga coming down now for Judge. Gonna try and push some damage. Kibler sitting on 10 health, not looking too great, because it's one of those situations where suddenly taunts don't feel as strong against the likes of Demon Hunter, that I feel like they excel at just taking apart not only boards but also doing a lot of spell damage to the face.
Yeah, I mean it's turn 6 and Kibler's at 10 life, right? And had that minion been able to stick 1 more turn, this would probably be lethal. Certainly the nerf to Setheno coming into play here. Pretty heavily. Through Felon Flames is a card that I feel like we haven't really seen a lot of, but it may just make it into these Naga Demon Hunter lists, just because it's another 0 mana spell.
Yeah, I think that's the thing where there's so much available historically in Demon Hunter. You have to like cut back. You have to cut good cards, right? Like cards you probably play in other classes. You have to be like, well, we can only fit 30, so here we go. It gets kind of tricky here, but Kibler again has taunts, but like you almost feel like, so what? We see Predation in hand, and just so much value from Judge that even unless Kibler has loads of taunts and loads of armor generation, which I think might be the missing part of all these warriors we've seen focusing on taunt, then this might be a little bit problematic.
Yeah, Abyssal Basis gonna come down and maybe do something. Judge is got a full hand, but not a ton of spells. Predation only doing 2 now, and Zatheno only doing 1. It seems unlikely with current hand that he'll be able to get through this without having to send some attacks in and gain Kibler that life.
Yeah, just get to kill it off, which massively helps you, right?
Wrangling whelps is harder than it looks.
Wealth Wrangler just gonna stay protected and start again. The end of turn effect, right? Just generating those taunts.
Play Snake Eyes. We've not seen it on stream. Play it.
There's no hand space though.
Play it. I want to see it.
The answer is here.
So it's questioned here of like how to gain Kibler the least amount of life here on that basis, and it might honestly just be like giving the hero 7 attack.
Hmm.
The answer is here.
Double Parched Desperado plus hero power will do it.
Yeah, I think it's about as clean as it's going to get, right?
Shadows grow long.
That I can see anyway. And it looks like Judge agrees.
Yep. Finish with an Amalgam.
Obviously, it's difficult to know because we don't know exactly what they have in the deck. But I was going to say maybe even a dry scale, because if that's another burn
true.
spell or something, then you're feeling
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
good about life, right?
Access denied.
Just gonna double up here, get that
Yeah.
410. Interesting to note that even when you magnetic, it still counts as playing a taunt minion, so you do get 2 instances on the weapon there.
It is nuts, isn't it? That is it. Oh, it was predation. Okay, I was gonna say, interesting that the weapon does feel infinite at times, right? I know these decks might be leaning a bit too heavily into taunt, just for the event, but that weapon is getting damage done. If only it was going face more often.
Yeah, and one thing about the way Kibler has built his deck, right, is with the only spell being Black Rock and Roll, you can have these crazy games where you go Steam Guardian into Black Rock and Roll on curve, and that's a huge play. But other times you're just gonna gas out. And I think some of the more menagerie builds have the benefit of running Roaring Applause,
Wait,
which is a huge
Wasn't this
refill
just-
in terms of card draw.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I was just it's so hard to see if there's like lethals available when half the cards are new. It's like, wait, what does this do? What does this do again? I'm like, wait. Yeah, I thought the thingy did more. So how much? It is lethal though, right? 6/4.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Okay. This was not how I was counting it. I was definitely wrong the way I was counting it, and that's just because I just don't know numbers. But yeah, either way, good spot there from Judge, and looked pretty strong so far. Again, this is like the first look we're really getting at Demon Hunter, but it's looking quite good. It's doing Demon Hunter things, but just in a slightly different way.
Yeah, and I don't know if anyone has been bold enough yet to make a Highlander Demon Hunter deck. That's another